Hello and welcome to the top 8 of the Ninja Gaiden 2 tournament. Our tournament is going to be getting underway pretty soon here. We're just getting some of the matches started on SRL, and we're going to be showing you some player profiles and introducing you to our top 8 and talking a little bit about the matchups. I'm Sinister One, and I am joined here by my partner in commentary, the Darkman 78. How are you doing today, Darkman?
I'm good. How are you doing, Sinister?
I am doing well. I'm very excited for this top 8, and I have to thank you very much for filling in on behalf of Duckfist, who unfortunately had something come up at the last minute and could not be here. So we're very, very glad to have you on board. What are you expecting to see today out of our competition?
I don't know. It's gonna be intense. Definitely, we have a lot of interesting matchups, a lot of exciting matchups that maybe something you may not see until the later rounds, but it's happening already. So, I think just starting off right off the bat with quarterfinals is going to be really good.
Yes, absolutely. And I think we should explain our format just a little bit to our viewers. We're going to be try to show as much action as we can. So with the quarterfinal matchups, we're actually splitting the bracket in half. We're going to be showing first Arcus versus Gyarados and Endy versus Infested Rich. And we're going to kind of alternate between those two so we can try to show you as much from each match as possible. After those guys are finished, we'll switch to the second half of the bracket, and we'll do the same thing there. As far as the semifinals and the finals, we're going to try to show those matches in their entirety. So as you're going to see, we are starting out with the quarterfinals and semifinals being best out of 3. So these guys are not just going to be out after one race. If something goes wrong, they will get another shot. And the finals, of course, is going to be best out of 5. So that is our format. And Fiesel is working on getting our bracket up here so you guys can kind of get a look at the bracket. So just from last time, I know that last time you watched much of the race. What kind of impression did you get of the players that are in this top 8?
I would definitely say none of these guys kind of really backdoored their way in, so to speak. All of them, they had some tough matchups they had to go through in order to kind of advance. So I think all of them are kind of battle tested and ready for this exciting top 8.
Yeah, no question about that. I think every player that is in the top 8 actually. We seeded the Swiss according to people's personal best at the time. A lot of those personal bests have changed since then, but we had initially seeded it, and 7 of the top 8 seeds actually are in this top 8, which I think kind of goes to show just how skill intensive this game is, and that there really there's not a lot of luck involved. So it really is the best man's going to win most of the time. The one person that was not in the top 8 seeds was Infested Rich. He is going to be featured in some of our first quarterfinal matches here. He's going to be going against Endy, who swept the Swiss. He went 6-0. What's your take on Endy Swee?
I mean, it's like you said, Sinister. He's 6-0. I mean, that's pretty impressive to go through Swiss matches. I mean, when you talk about all the people in this tournament, like some of the best speedrunners in Ninja Gaiden 2, for him to go up against everybody and beat them all, that's pretty impressive to me.
Definitely, and it's not like he had an easy path. I want to say that he played at least 3 of these players from the top 8, if I'm not mistaken, on his way. He defeated number 1 seed Jimmy Poopins, and he defeated White Hat, who is in our top 8, and I believe he also defeated Gyarados. So 3 of our top 8 competitors. So basically half the field he's already played, but he's going up against Infested Rich, who he hasn't played as of yet. Both of them from Sweden, so we kind of have a battle of Sweden in this quarterfinal matchup. Thoughts on that?
Sorry, got sidetracked. If you don't mind saying that again.
Just the battle of Sweden. We have Endy Swee versus Infested Rich. What do you think about that? The 2 countrymen kind of going up against each other.
I mean, listen, Sweden, when it comes to NES games, Sweden is, right up at the forefront. You have so many competitors from Sweden that are so good at so many games, and Ninja Gaiden 2 is not the exception. We have these 2 competitors in Rich and Andy, both of them have proven themselves not only in Ninja Gaiden 2, but in many other games as well. Like for instance, he's great at all the Ninja Gaiden games, and it seems like any NES game out there, Rich is competitive in it. So it should definitely be really exciting to see the two go at it.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that one. And just a little background. Andy kind of talked a little bit of trash in this one. He was like, "Hey, I fully expect to beat Rich. There, it shouldn't be an issue." And I don't think you should underestimate your competition like that. That can be dangerous.
Yeah, no, you definitely listen. It doesn't matter like whatever their PB is or how they're performing. This is the top 8. They didn't get into top 8 just by sleeping their way through. They had to perform. They had to execute. So there is not a single person in this top 8 that you should underestimate, because you never know what they're going to pull off.
Very true. Very true. And Infested Rich, as of today, I know that he said he was not feeling very well, so a little bit under the weather. I'm wondering if that is going to affect his performance. How do you tend to play if you're not feeling good? Does that affect your game at all?
Absolutely. Like speedrunning is not only like a physical endeavor, it's very much a mental thing. Like if you're not totally in the mental mindset, it's going to affect your play. So Rich kind of has like an uphill battle to face. He not only has to face his opponent, he has to face himself more so than usual. So he definitely kind of has to just, I guess, be with the terms that maybe he might not be playing the best he can, but he has to kind of like work around that and just see what he can do to kind of just play as well as he can. Right.
Yeah, Andy, meanwhile, has been practicing almost religiously. He's pushed his PB down quite low. I believe when we started the tournament, I think he was the number 7 seed in terms of his personal best. But as of now, he actually has the second best time of players that are in this top 8. He's the only other person besides Jimmy that is under 10 minutes and 20 seconds in terms of his PB. He has a 10:19, and that's actually without the Ashtar quick kill, as a matter of fact. So, that just goes to show you he could gain even more time, because he has learned that, by the way. Several of the players, since we did have a nice 2-week break, took it upon themselves to kind of start learning some of the more technical maneuvers in this game, the Ashtar quick kill being the most important because it saves 5 seconds, of course. So that should be interesting to watch as well. I'm not sure if Infested Rich got around to that. Do you know if he bothered with that at all, you think?
I haven't seen him streaming Ninja Gaiden 2 at all since the 2 weeks. So, maybe he's done some offline practice. I'm sure at least one person has done it in the top 8, and maybe they just haven't shown anybody what they've done, but you never know.
Yeah, I think, Rich, I've seen him streaming, and I've seen him kind of, he's been doing more casual games and stuff like that. And I don't know. Some people, you're right. I think some people kind of like, they tend to maybe try to do off stream. They want to not necessarily hide their practice, but maybe they practice better off stream. I mean, how do you feel? Like, do you prefer to do your practice grind off stream, or do you like to show that to everybody?
Yeah, I mostly like to do my practice off stream. For me, it's kind of different in that, like, I take a lot of breaks when I'm doing practicing. Like, I kind of have to. So it definitely makes sense for me to kind of do my stuff off stream. It's a different mindset streaming versus not streaming. And I think not streaming, for me at least, lends itself better for practice. Sort of because I don't have to worry about anything else. I can just kind of do my thing, maybe work on a stage for a couple minutes and then just take a break, do something else, kind of reset my mind, so to speak. But you can't really do that with streaming. So for me, at least, I prefer to just practice off stream.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's much more productive to get the practice off stream if you can. And I'm not very good about actually doing that, but when I do actually engage in the off stream practice, I tend to do a lot better, with it. So anyhow, I think we've talked a little bit about Andy versus Rich. We may as well go ahead and discuss our other quarterfinal matchup that we're going to be seeing in the first round. We are going to see our number 2 seed, Gyarados 21, versus none other than Arcus 87. So who do you want to talk about in that matchup? Take it away.
Yeah, we'll start with Gardas. He's our number 2 seed. This is kind of the guy I'm sure many people may not be familiar with, but he is the number 2 seed and he's there for a reason. I mean, this guy has kind of started. He just started speedrunning, really. He's only started this year. It's very new to speedrunning, but he's very much shown that he's he definitely can play well. Basically, in the last round of Swiss, he had to beat Jimmy. Jimmy is basically our number 1 player coming into the tournament. He had to beat him in order to get into the top 8. So it goes to show you that this is a guy that's not afraid of the pressure, the big moment. He can perform when need be. I mean, not only is he also proficient in Ninja Gaiden, but he's also proficient in other games too, like DuckTales, and I believe he has the Tiny Toons world record as well. So this is a guy that I expect a lot from coming into this top 8.
Yeah, definitely. He did have to go through Jimmy at the very end there. If he did not win that match, he would have been eliminated from top 8. And actually, he and Endy went at it in one of the earlier rounds, I think I mentioned. So, he's played against Endy as well. And Endy, of course, winning that match, which did end up determining that he was going to be the number 1 seed. But not drawing an easy matchup here. He is going against Arcus87. Arcus, of course, is the Ninja Gaiden 1 world record holder. He's still been working on pushing that time down even further. Got a really solid time in Ninja Gaiden 2. In fact, both of these guys, Arcus and Gardas, have the exact same personal best. Would you believe that they both have a 10:21? That's crazy, right?
It's insane. It seems like all these top 8 players, they're right within each other in terms of time. Like, I'm sure it's not more than 20 seconds separating everybody. It's insane.
Yeah, it's all very close. I think 6 of the 8 players are within like 10 seconds, and but then you have kind of the outliers, which is Jimmy that has world record, and then Rich. Rich is certainly capable of a lower time. I feel like he just hasn't really pushed his PB. I don't know if he just hasn't been motivated or what, but he could certainly get under 10:30 without question. So yeah, all these players super, super close. Arcus and Gardas very close, and Arcus is become pretty proficient at the quick kill. I've been watching him do a lot of no reset runs, and he can hit that quick kill sometimes. So, that Ashtar quick kill, we're probably going to see it from somebody, maybe multiple people throughout the course of this top 8. These guys have really put in some serious work on that maneuver, which, as we mentioned last time, super, super difficult to pull off. I can't pull it off. I don't know how much I'd have to practice in order to pull it off, but it's definitely not an easy one. So I think that Arcus though has really demonstrated great consistency, and that's something that's important, especially if you're in top 8. You're going to be playing multiple matches and so on. Some of these guys, the winner of this tournament may have to play up to 11 games of Ninja Gaiden 2 over the course if they went to 3 rounds and then went to 5 rounds in the finals. That's a lot of Ninja Gaiden 2.
Yeah, that definitely is. And when you're playing that many games, I mean, this is kind of a very unfamiliar element for speedrunners. Normally, we do a lot of RTA and maybe we do a race here and there, but never are we really doing like 11 games back to back, so to speak. Obviously, there's a little bit of break in between, but still, to do like 11 runs of Ninja Gaiden 2 in a day is definitely not something that most of us would think about. So this is kind of a different mindset, and be kind of curious to see how that favors one person over another.
Yeah, I think that, we have our super consistent players, and we have some players that are maybe just, they like to take more risks. And now it's in the Swiss rounds, it really wasn't that important to have to like take big risks. You didn't need to gain that like half second or that 1 second over somebody. But with how close the competition is in the top 8, you got to imagine that maybe some of these races are going to be determined by something like that, like somebody doing that half second time saver strat. That could be the difference.
It could, and I kind of wonder whether maybe that kind of plays into the minds of everybody else, in that, hey, maybe I should actually watch my competitor and see what they're doing. I know for some people they probably didn't do that in the Swiss rounds, but I know for some they did. So I kind of wonder if maybe that kind of changes their strategy heading into the top 8.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see. So yeah, strategy becomes important here. In the Swiss, I think the main strategy was don't die, right? But in the top 8, you got to kind of take it a little bit further. You're going to have to take it further than just the don't die strategy. You're going to have to be, gain that half second, gain that 1 second, get that quick kill. Like that's really more the focus, I think. And of course, don't die. That's still important, but yeah. So we're gonna have to see. Okay, so it looks like what we're gonna do is we're gonna start. Just so the people know our matchups, we're gonna show Gyarados 21 versus Arceus first, and then we are gonna stagger the Endy Sui versus Infested Rich match by about 3 minutes or so. So just like you guys, if you watch the Swiss, you're going to see the first race in full until we determine a winner, and then we're immediately going to switch into our second race, and you're going to catch the end of that one. And then what we'll do for game 2, since these are best out of 3, is we're going to reverse it. So you'll get to see the full match of Endy versus Infested Rich. So don't worry, guys. You are going to get to see a lot more action than you probably saw in the Swiss. But unfortunately, due to time limitations, we can't show every single match in full. That would just take way too long. So this is the way that we're going to be doing it. So that'll be starting fairly soon. We're planning to begin around 1 p.m. Eastern. We're just trying to get everything sorted out here on the back end. So while we're doing that, I guess we can go ahead and talk a little bit about some of our other matchups that are going to be coming later on in the stream. We are going to see Jorf versus White Hat. Why don't you tell us a little bit about Jorf? We didn't get to see him a whole lot in the Swiss rounds.
Yeah, so Jorf is, interestingly enough, he is the former Ninja Gaiden 2 world record holder. I know he took it back from Ohon a few years ago, or maybe a year ago. So he's definitely no stranger to Ninja Gaiden 2. He was kind of a late entrant to the tournament. Wasn't really sure if he was feeling it, but he eventually entered. Still a very good player. Kind of one of those under the radar players because you don't really know what he's doing practice-wise. He definitely hasn't been streaming it, but don't underestimate Jorf because this is a guy that's very familiar with the mystery game tournament scene. He's always doing well, top 8s, maybe coming close to winning. So he understands the mentality to win. So he knows what he needs to do. Maybe he needs to adjust his strategies mid-match. Maybe he needs to kind of turn it up at a certain time. He knows what he needs to do to win, and that's a very important thing you need in order to win this tournament.
I couldn't agree more. Jorf, very, very dangerous player, just very quietly made it into top 8, and people really didn't get to see a whole lot from him. But the guys that are in the top 8, they know who Jorf is. They know that they have to be concerned when they're playing against him, and White Hat is no different. Although I'll tell you what, from what I've seen from White Hat, he does not strike me as the type of individual that gets intimidated very easily. He has kind of a very strong aura to him, and when he plays this game, he's very serious. He's very good with other NES platformers. He hasn't been playing this game nearly as long as Jorf has, so Jorf may have a little bit of an advantage in terms of just overall experience. But they're only separated by 6 seconds. I believe White Hat's best time is a 10:29. Jorf has, of course, a 10:23, which, as you mentioned, was formerly world record. Strangely enough, I don't know if you saw this, but Ohon recently, he actually came back to just get a personal best, and he got 10:23. So he's now tied with Jorf and several other players at the magic 10:23 mark. I believe Backslash is also at 10:23, and maybe one or two other players. But yeah, White Hat is somebody that's he's also kind of quietly made the top 8, but he had a very good run through the Swiss, and he's here and he's ready to go. So we're going to see that matchup later on, and of course, the big matchup that everybody's been waiting for. In fact, some people were hoping that they wouldn't have to play in the quarterfinals, but that's the way it is. Number 1 seed going into the tournament and number 2 seed going into the tournament, Backslash and Jimmy and Backslash rather. They are now the number 4 and 5 seeds, so they have to play each other in the quarterfinals. So why don't you go ahead and talk a little bit about Jimmy? I think most people know who he is, but for those that are new to Ninja Gaiden 2, please let them know.
Sure. So this is Jimmy. He is the world record holder for Ninja Gaiden 2. He has a 10:07, which is basically, I think, 11 seconds better than second place. I mean, this is a guy that's dedicated so much time to this game and taken it to a new level, and he's not even done yet. He wants to take it even further. So this is the kind of guy that not only is he the world record holder and it's going to show in his gameplay, but he's also the guy that's willing to take the most risks out of everyone. I mean, he showed it in the Swiss rounds. He's not afraid to go for strats that are very risky that save just a half a second. You know, he's the kind of person that maybe he's going to pull off an insane run, get that like 10-17 that he did in the Swiss rounds, but you never know. Maybe those kind of risks may backfire and he might get like a 11-15 or something because of that. And in the top 8 with so many good competitors, that may not be good enough to win. So I'd be very curious to see how Jimmy does.
Very true, and you mentioned the risks that he does indeed like to take. Living up to his alternate name, he goes by Jimmy Poopins online here, but he's also known as Jimmy Risk. And he certainly does take several of those risks. Backslash, kind of the opposite. Backslash is not going to be taking a whole lot of risks. He plays a very, very consistent game. Much like Arcus, you know, you're typically going to see him getting very similar times. He doesn't die. I think he had maybe like 1 or 2 deaths maybe in the tournament, in the Swiss rounds. And he actually had the best average time throughout the Swiss round. So he is indeed Mr. Consistency, and he certainly showed that. So I think he's going to continue doing what he does and what he's good at. Now, he and Jimmy did actually play in the Swiss rounds. I believe they went at it in round 5 with Jimmy barely edging him out because he got the quick kill on Ashtar and gained 5 seconds over him. But if not for that insane quick kill, I believe they would have been separated only by a couple seconds. But Jimmy he had his best run of the day in that particular matchup. So interesting stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was definitely the most, to me at least, when I was watching it, that was the most exciting round in the Swiss. It was insane how well they were performing. So that's kind of what I'm hoping to see out of this matchup. And if we see that all 3 games, maybe it goes the distance. You know, that's going to be one of the most memorable speed gaming moments maybe in history.
Yeah. This top 8 is just so stacked. I mean, it's really unbelievable to get a game where players can be this close in competition. As you can see, we actually now have up on screen the first matchup that we're going to be showing you. As we mentioned, Gaiden 21, Arcus 87. You can see the personal bests there for both of them, 10:21 as we mentioned, and the average time through the Swiss. So Gaiden having a slightly better average time during the Swiss rounds with his 10:45 overall, Arcus with the 10:56. However, Arcus has been doing no reset runs recently, and I can swear that he averages 10 minutes and 30 seconds. So what do you make of that?
I mean, if somebody has an average of 10:30, that's pretty insane. That's going to be pretty hard to beat for most competitors, you know, regardless of whether you're Jimmy or Rich or whoever, or Gaiden, whoever you're going up against. That's a pretty tall order, so yeah, that's impressive.
Yes, it definitely is, and you can see kind of some of the other games that they both play there, as we mentioned earlier. So Arcus plays all 3 games in the trilogy. In fact, he likes to play all 3 back-to-back, which is called Ninja Gaiden Trilogy, which Infested Rich is also known to do. They've competed in that, speedrunning all 3 in a row. He's got a very solid Batman time and runs a little Contra as well. He's been playing this game since 2012 and Gaiden since 2016. So again, that kind of can make some difference. You know, do you think that experience is a big edge? Is it a small edge? What's your take on that?
It can definitely be an advantage, but I don't think in a tournament setting it's just experience. I definitely think, like I said before, speedrunning is very much a mental thing. So even though he may have the experience over Gaiden seems like somebody who's not afraid. He seems like to be in the mental mindset. That's what you need for tournaments like this. So I don't know if it's much of an advantage against an opponent like Gaiden.
Yeah, Gaiden, he kind of says that he goes into like his Zen mode when he's doing these races, because I mean it is a little nerve-wracking. You know, both of them have said that. I've heard both of them on stream saying, you know, yeah, you do definitely get nerves when you're going into a race and tournament and stuff like that. And I mean, this game in general, Ninja Gaiden 2, like, it's just a nerve-wracking game if you're just speedrunning it with no other outside pressure. I've played it quite a bit, and you know, the pressure certainly gets amped up. I raced this, of course, against Duckfist in AGDQ 2013, and the pressure is there, but I will say that it usually subsides after a little bit. So I think as long as both of these guys can get past 2-2, like that early stage that you can die in, they'll probably settle in. So again, here we have Endy versus Rich. You can see Endy is like dead serious in his picture. He is about some speed running Ninja Gaiden 2 business. He's not here to make friends. He's here to crush all of his opponents.
Yeah, I mean, that's the look of doom right there. That's not the kind of person I want to go up against. But yeah, no, definitely. Andy's just one of those people that has. I mean, it's insane to think that this guy started speedrunning Ninja Gaiden 2 in 2016, and he already has a 1019. And not only does he have a 1019, he has an impressive average in 1054. So those are impressive numbers from somebody who just started speedrunning the game.
And I think that average has gone down as well because he, like Arcus, really put a lot of time in the past 2 weeks, and of course it shows in his personal best, which this is I believe the largest separation in personal best that we have. So he's got almost 20 seconds on Infested Rich. But like we talked about earlier, you can't underestimate Rich. He's been playing the game a little bit longer. He has a little bit more experience. He does the trilogy. So these guys actually, interestingly enough, if you see there under their other games that they run, they battled in Gremlins 2. They had a little back and forth on the world record of that game. And so I think, they kind of have some previous history, which will be interesting to see how that goes. And both being from Sweden, of course. So a little bit of a rivalry. I think this is going to be a good matchup for sure.
Absolutely.
So yeah, Rich looking very happy and carefree, which I think that's appropriate because that was kind of his approach to the tournament. So both of these guys kind of showing like how they feel. So all right, looks like we're ready to go. We're gonna start with game 1 of match 1 of quarterfinals, Gyarados 21 versus Arcus. These guys ready to go, ready to do it, and they're gonna be putting on a show here. So as soon as the race starts, then we're going to be off. The top eight begins.
It's exciting. Can't wait to see what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's very appropriate. The intro cutscene to this game. There's kind of the lightning striking. That's kind of what it feels like when you're playing Ninja Gaiden 2, and you have because you feel like you get hit by lightning because it's so fast that you die in this game. You can die anywhere. And that's exactly what it's like. It's just like, boom, lightning strikes. Oh, I'm dead. So here we go. We are off. Match number 1, Gyarados and Arcus. And both of these guys, they're going to be tasked with a couple things in this first stage here. Most importantly, you got to pick up one of these shadow clones, which are guys that just kind of follow you and they do exactly what you do. And you're going to get the Upfire, which both of them have already obtained. That's a sub-weapon that is important for taking out most of the bosses in this game. Not really a whole lot of danger spots in this particular stage. As we can see, both of them picking up their Shadow Clone. You can die in this ladder grab that's coming up right here. That's really the one tricky spot. And oof, Gyarados with a really, really close grab there.
Maybe that kind of shows you his mindset going in. He's the one that maybe wants to just optimize everything, kind of gain those little time saves where he can.
That could be. And both of them nailing the quick kill. Such great play just right off the bat. Like these guys are prepared. They're ready to go. So we're on into Act 2. Now, of course, in between the acts, you do lose most of your Ninpo. You start each stage with 10, and you lose your sub-weapon. So they do have to pick up the Fire Wheel once again. And then they're also going to pick up their second Ninja Clone, which you have a maximum of 2 Ninja Clones that will follow you around and do what you do. This stage pretty easy. You can't really die in this stage. That's one nice thing because there's really no pits to fall down in. So it's mainly just don't get knocked backwards. That's what both players want to avoid. And looks like both of them doing okay. And Arcus taking a little bit of a backslide there. He did finish with a 217. So here we go.
Kind of the first, I guess, real test in 2-2. Definitely with the rain factor in this. There's a couple of tight jumps in this stage. As long as right there. So it looks like Arcus just missed the jump there. So
wow.
Fortunately, he didn't die though. Yeah.
Staying alive. That is the main thing. So Gyarados is going to take a pretty solid lead here when the competition is this close. His lead is actually substantial, but not something that Arcus could not come back from. There's certainly a lot of time left to play in this game, and the main thing is not taking a death. So Arcus he's going to take some very interesting strats that are a little bit safer. You see one there is he doesn't try to clip into the wall. He purposely avoids that and just makes sure that he gets the ladder grab, because that is a place you can die, and that's one of the most costly deaths in the game. Gyarados did go for the clip and get it. So he is kind of gaining time. Like you said, he's using a little bit more of those risky strategies, and Arceus taking it a little more consistent.
Maybe that could just be the cause of experience between the two. You know, Gyarados being kind of the newer player and just like, this is what I know, what I'm comfortable with, so maybe I'm just going to do that rather than try to kind of incorporate stuff I may not be comfortable with, even if it may be safer.
Well, yeah, I think that's the case, but Arceus has planned this out very, very carefully. He's really minimizing his risk. There's a downfire that he used earlier in this stage that no other player uses. It's a safety strat that costs you maybe about 4 frames or so. But he feels that it's worth it. He feels that like those little couple frames here and there, just to make sure you don't die or get knocked back, are definitely worth it. So, but both players keeping a very strong pace so far. We're coming into a dangerous room here for Gyarados. Let's see if he can survive.
All right, well done. Excellent. Yeah, definitely one of the scariest rooms in 3-2 for sure. A lot of tight jumps there, and performing very well, both of them.
Right, so both of these guys coming up to the end of the stage. Critical damage boost and then a quick kill needed for the boss. Let's see who's going to get it. Gyarados is up first. Nails it.
Excellent. See if Arceus can follow.
Wow,
Oh.
right behind him. Arceus giving up no time there. So Gyarados holding his lead, but Arceus, he's sticking with him. So I think, you know, one interesting thing between these two players is that Gyarados has less experience doing the quick kill on Ashtar, which, as we mentioned, is a 5-second time saver. Arceus been becoming a little more consistent with it. So, you know, that's something that could really make a big difference in this matchup.
I mean, absolutely. With the pace we're on right now, it's just a couple seconds separating the two, so that could very well be the difference maker. They're coming up tight jump that Gyarados was able to get. You know, that scroll that he just got was very hard to get, so
Wow.
it's very easy to miss.
Yes, it's very impressive. So he's gaining even more time. He went for another risky strat there. Arceus, I know, takes it a little bit safer here, and you know the frames are starting to add up to some seconds as Gyarados pushes through. He's coming to another dangerous area. The next couple screens, it's very easy for things to go wrong. So we're gonna have to see how he handles these next few screens. All right, he actually takes, the Gyarados finally takes the first safe strat that we've seen. You're going to see Arceus probably going for a double bird boost. No, Arceus actually takes it safe as well. Interesting. So will either of these players get the up fire? No, Gyarados is going to pass. He's going to keep the invincible fire wheel. I already know that Arceus is going to keep invincible fire wheel. I like that strategy. What do you think? Because you can get up fire there to save about half a second. What's your thought on that?
I mean, it sounds like a risky strat to me from everything I've seen about it, so I don't know if it's the type of strat that I would feel comfortable with if I was playing in this, even if I was somebody who's been playing the game for a while, but for some people it just makes sense because that's what they're familiar with, so.
Right. I think it's possible that we may only see 1 or 2 players going for that strat. Jimmy, I know, will be going for it. We'll see him a little later on, but both these players on a fantastic pace, both really playing very well, and they're headed into Act 5, which of course the boss of Act 5 is Ashtar. Gyarados coming up on an important clip here. Let's see if he can get through the wall. Oh yeah, he gets the good clip, so now it's going to be up to Arceus. Coming up on that same clip. And he got the slightly less good clip, but he's through. So we're into 5-2. This is Jorf's favorite stage. Many people know.
It's honestly the difference right now is just Gyarados has just been slightly better on everything. It's just those little time savers, as like Sinister mentioned, they're adding up right now. That's really the difference. You know, Arceus has not played bad at all. It's just Gyarados has played slightly better this whole time.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. But we're coming up on Ashtar, so it's going to be interesting to see if Gyarados. I mean, there's really no downside to going for the quick kill, so I think we should expect to see him at least go for it. Whether he's going to be able to get it or not, that's going to be a big story. But with the pace that these players are on now, if Arceus were to get it, I believe he might take the lead. So Gyarados is up first. Let's see. He's not even going to go for it. Just kind of taking it safe. Ashtar is down, so it looks like Arceus would not be able to take the lead, but he could catch up. Oh, one short. One fire wheel short. He was so close. Wow.
It's a tough maneuver to pull off, that's for sure. But even though he didn't get the quick kill, you know what? We still have Act 7 to come, and you know what? That could be the difference maker.
It certainly could. I think Act 6, fairly easy going. It's a nice time to kind of cool down and get a hold of yourself before the real dangerous stages occur. There's nothing too difficult about these stages, and Gyarados, his health situation is okay. I think you're going to see most of these players taking a lot of damage in 6-2, but they'll have just enough to get through the stage as long as they don't make any mistakes. But really pretty straightforward stage here. And Gyarados has just enough HP, so he can't afford to take a hit in the boss room. And he's going to stand up front, though. He could take a hit here. He needs to be careful. Very close.
That was bold. That was
very bold. Yeah, you can stand back there and be safe from being hit, as you can see Arceus is doing. Arceus cannot get hit standing in that spot. But okay, Gyarados on into 7-1.
So 7-1, this could very well be the difference maker. I mean, there's a lot of just precise jumps and precise D-boost you have to land, and just missing one could make a huge difference in what happens to the rest of the stage.
Yes, and he's through the very dangerous screen here, and so is Arceus, thankfully. So going for the double bird boost is Gyarados, and getting it, so he's in great shape. And now it's going to be Arceus' turn. He's going to have to get this double bird boost just to keep pace. He does indeed get it. So Gyarados going to be entering 7-2. This is his race to lose at this point. He's got plenty of health. He's in a good spot. He's just got, like you said, he's got to hit these precise damage boosts right now.
Absolutely. I mean, this is basically the last choke. As long as he gets through 7-2, the boss, he should not lose. He couldn't lose that much time, you know, to let Arceus kind of sneak ahead, so.
Right. So Arceus doing his best to keep pace, but so far Gyarados, because he hit pretty much every single one of those risky strats that he went for, that's basically the difference right now. I mean, both of these guys have not really made any very obvious mistakes.
Yeah. Both of their healths seem really fine going to 7-2, so I don't expect any of them to have any issues, really, as long as they just hit their D-boosts.
Yep, there's one more D-boost that Gyarados needs to hit, and let's see if he goes for the backup health here. He does indeed get the backup health. Arceus, I'm pretty sure, is going to do the same, so let's see what kind of Jackie-O kill. Gyarados taking a little bit of a hit there, but still looks to be okay. And he gets the Jackie-O kill. He's in great shape. Arceus just now getting into the boss rush. Nice kill on the second form. Gyarados, plenty of health. It looks like he is going to take this one down unless something absolutely devastating and out of the ordinary happens. Yeah.
I mean, there's just a little bit of RNG that can affect this last fight, but I don't expect it to be an issue, and there you go. It's wrapped up.
There it is. Sub 10:30. 10:29 on the clock for Gyarados. You cannot ask for much better than that in these kind of conditions, as we see Arceus finishing off just behind him. Wow. So really excellent play from both players. Arceus, I guess, he maybe had just a couple of missteps, and his safety strats put him behind. So we're going to switch immediately. We're going to see Endy and Rich, and it looks like Infested Rich took a death at some point, and that is why Endy has the lead that he has right now. So Endy on a pretty solid pace.
Yeah, but I mean, still, it's definitely anyone's game. You never know what can happen. It's not like Rich is so far back that he can't come back. You know, if Endy just has a death in 7-1 or 7-2, I mean, we have a ball game.
That's true. There's certainly a spot that many people die in 7-1, that first screen. That can be pretty brutal. I think even with that death, he may still have a small lead. So Rich really has a lot to overcome here. Going to be difficult as Endy finishes off the boss there.
Perfectly done. It's like Rich's health is fine going into 6-2, shouldn't be any issues. So I mean, Endy, I know you talked about it, Sinister. He's kind of the person that likes to listen in on what's going on. So maybe he knows what's going on with Rich right now.
I think he does. Spoilers. Well, but hey, it's not like it's an advantage. Any of the players could choose to listen. You know, it's not an advantage that he has that anybody else couldn't do. So he's opting to do that, and I think it's just his his level of play is just a little bit higher than Rich's, and I think it's starting to show. So even though he's not having a particularly bad run, that one death is going to be the difference in a lot of these races, because most of these guys are just on average going to get deathless. That's really just how it goes.
Sure. I mean, listen, this is the top 8. They had to perform to get into here, and they had to have a lot of deathless runs in order to get in here. So yeah, I don't expect a lot of deaths in this top 8 for sure.
Yeah, so Rich, following through though, he's not lost his nerve at all. He's certainly playing well since whenever that death was that he had. But Endy just kind of on cruise control right now. There's a couple danger spots. He's past one of them. He's going to get that health, not taking the double bird boost, which is another dangerous strat. So again, that's one you'll probably only see Jimmy going for. But yeah, he's on his way to the boss rush. If he doesn't die in this last pit, I think he is going to be able to wrap this one up, and he does get the damage boost. Skipping the health though, okay, so that's interesting. Knowing that he's ahead and still skipping the health. Interesting choice. What do you think?
Oh, it's an interesting choice for sure, but I mean, I don't think it should be much of an issue. Like, it seems like his health is in pretty good shape, so I don't think he really needed it.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, with that much health, you're going to be fine, but it's almost kind of like, why take the risk? Just spend the half a second and get the other health and guarantee victory. That's kind of how I feel about it. But Endy going a little risky. Looks like he's going to finish things off, though. He's got plenty of health here going into the final form, and he does. And he's going to get a really solid time as we see Rich taking down Jackie-O. So nice 10:33 for Endy. Very well done. Him and Gardas putting on really good runs in that first game.
Absolutely. And even with the death, Rich is putting up a pretty good time. Still going to be sub 11, looks like.
Yeah, I mean, and that's hard to do. He probably didn't have the most costly of deaths, but a little bit of struggle here, though. You can see he's struggling a little bit on the head, and that's not a good place to get caught up, because there's like a foot that comes out to hit you, and the thing starts spitting this other stuff, and you kind of got to hope that it looks like he's going to be okay, though. So Rich going to go ahead and clear it. So okay, Endy's got game 1, Gardas got game 1. These guys are on match point for both of them, because this is 2 out of 3. So these guys are going to rematch. And what do you think of what we've seen so far?
Yeah, I mean, between the Gyarados Arcus race, that was intense. I mean, both of them performed very well. It was basically the difference between little strats, little frames that added up, and that's what kind of propelled Gyarados to victory. And with the Endy and Rich match, I mean, Endy was just showing you why he's the #1 seed, why he went 6-0. Just Mr. Consistent, He's always putting up really good times. He's not the one to kind of die. I only saw him die once in the Swiss, so it's just showing you why he's good. But even Rich, he showed that, hey, he's not going away. He's still got a great time even with the death. So you got to look out for Rich. It's not over just because, it's 1-0.
Yeah, Rich is still in this thing. He handled the death very well. He did have a little bit of some struggles in 7-2, it looked like, and then against the boss as well. So you just have to wonder if he's going to be able to bounce back. I mean, he's feeling under the weather. He's down 1-0. He's got his back against the wall. We're going to have to see how he responds. And for Arcus as well, because Arcus, he's got his back against the wall now, and he played a really good game there, and he didn't win. So that's kind of got to get to you. Be like, man, I got what did he get, like a 1039 or something like that?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you got a 1039 in the Swiss, you won most of your matches, but here in the top 8, not so much. So yeah, and please make sure you follow our runners. Endy Sui and Fested Rich, both great players. A lot of NES games, old classics. Endy has world record in a lot of platformers. Like he's got, I believe, DuckTales. He's got Chip and Dale's Rescue Rangers. Really good stuff. And Fested Rich actually had Ninja Gaiden 3 until just a couple days ago, I believe. He lost that. Somebody beat him by like a second.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're going to be going into the second game pretty soon here. And this time, like we said, we're going to flip-flop it. So we're going to show you this time. First, we're going to show Endy Rich, and then we will cut to Gyarados Arcus in game 2. Or if things get out of hand, in this particular one, then we may go ahead and switch over as well. But we're gonna have to see how things go. So these players, I mean, they've got to be amped up. This is like, you know, they've been waiting for this top 8 for 2 whole weeks.
Yeah, I mean, hey, this is it right now. This is the moment. You know, I'm sure for both of them, like for Andy and Rich, they have different emotions kind of riding right now. I kind of wonder how that plays into their strategies. I know Andy's been kind of Mr. Consistent this whole time, but now maybe it's different. Maybe he's up 1-0 and might be like, you know what, maybe I can afford to kind of take some risks and kind of just blow this out, you know, just kind of blow Rich out, so to speak. Obviously not, you know, trying to like beat him by a minute or something, but hey.
He could very well have that mindset. You know, you saw the picture. He's dead serious. But I think he prioritizes winning over everything else. By the way, I did get an update that Infested Rich had his death in 5-2, which is of course the stage with the ice physics. So looks like we're going to be getting underway pretty soon here with the rematch. So Rich, he's a game away from being eliminated from this tournament. Fought his heart out to get into top 8. I think he started out I think he lost like in the first round. He got upset, and then he lost again. So he kind of had to battle back, and I believe he had to win either his last 2 or maybe even his last 3 rounds. And we can see it looks like these guys are ready to go, and we're off. So game 2. Let's see if Andy takes those additional risks, like you said.
And you know what? It's like you said about Rich. You know, he lost early on in the Swiss, and he had to kind of battle from behind, so to speak. You know, he knows what the pressure's like to kind of one loss and you're done, right? So he kind of familiar with that. So I kind of wonder if maybe that'll play to his advantage, being 1-0 down.
That's true. Maybe he plays better when he's playing from behind. That could very well be the case. So we're coming up to that dangerous jump here in stage 1. All right, both players making it through. I can't tell you how many times I've taken that death. So quick kill time. Who's got the quick kill? Looks like neither player, but Rich having a slightly cleaner fight. So Rich has actually got a little bit of a lead here.
All right. Hey, he'll take anything at this point.
Yes, I mean we're still pretty early on, but yeah, it's never bad to be in the lead. Although some players do play better when they're not in the lead. Somebody that comes to mind is my good friend Dexter's Lab. He always would just become so focused when he was losing, and he was like the comeback king. So you know, maybe Infested Rich learned some of that from him. They're both pretty good friends. You know, both go to a lot of the European speedrunning events, ESA of course, and some of the DreamHack stuff that they do over there. So, and they've had a lot of experience racing each other.
Absolutely.
So let's see if Rich can get through here.
Oh, Andy kind of taking an interesting approach to the but unfortunately,
oh wow, there's a death.
Yeah, wasn't
advantage Rich.
There you go.
Rich. So let's see if Andy knows how to come back from this, because again, he is not as experienced in this game, so he does know where the ninja clone is. He picks that up and almost takes another death there.
Oh wow.
He's gonna have to be a little careful here. If he takes another death, this thing can get out of hand. Meanwhile, we see Rich approaching the end of the stage. Things going nice and smooth for him. So Andy, there is another ninja clone that's on the way here. Let's see if he knows where that is. It's right here. Okay. He looks like he's gonna be good as Rich clears the boss. So Andy gonna have to play catch up now.
That's right. I mean, hey, you know, it's still anyone's game for sure, but this is a pretty big lead for Rich, and now I kind of want to see how he plays that. I mean, I wonder if he's watching the stream and he knows what's going on right now.
It would be interesting. I'm predicting not, because I think from what he said of just not feeling well, he's doing no mic, no webcam. Like, I think he just wants to kind of focus on the game and not have anything else bothering him. So, hopefully he'll be able to pull, if he pulls off a deathless run this time, I think it would be pretty tough for Andy to beat him, even with Andy's level of skill, because that death he took, while not the worst death ever, it was certainly a fairly costly one.
Absolutely. I mean, 2-2 is definitely one of those spots where you'd rather not die, because it definitely takes a long time to kind of recover from that. So we'll see if Andy can come back from this.
Yeah, I mean, Rich pressing his lead, he's coming up into a dangerous screen here. He's going to have to be a little careful. And he's got about a 20-second lead to work with here. That's pretty generous.
Absolutely. It kind of affords you to take more safety strats. I mean, obviously he may not know where he stands, but you know, if he knew he had a 20-second lead, I'm sure he'd probably be thinking about some more safetier strats than usual.
Possibly. So he goes for the dangerous damage boost, gets it. Let's see if he can get the quick kill as well. Not quite. He was 1 damage short on the quick kill. That doesn't cost a ton of time, but that is going to give Endy an opportunity to catch up just a little bit.
Absolutely. I mean, we saw even in the Gyarados Arceus match, I mean, both of them had a deathless run. They were still a fair amount apart. So you know what? That just goes to show you that even though Endy took a death and he's, coming from behind, he could still catch up just by playing better.
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty tough. Rich would have to make a lot of mistakes, but we did see him making his fair share in 7-2, so not out of the question. He's on another very dangerous screen here. The scroll is located right there. He does manage to get it. A lot of people die going for that scroll. There's a backup scroll in every stage, and for those of you that don't know, the scroll actually increases your ninja power or your ability to use your sub-weapons by 10. So you really need to pick those up on your way throughout the course of the game in order to ensure that you have enough ninja power, or ninpo as we like to call it, to take out the bosses, especially the final 3 bosses. You should have 100 by that time, as we see Rich doing a great job. Again, coming up to some of the dangerous screens. Act 4 is a really dangerous place.
Matt, I know you kind of talked about, in 4-1 that there's... Oh!
And Rich taking a death. So that is a trouble spot, and he's going to be able to pick up only 1 ninja clone here, and he's not going to have invincible fire wheel either. So if he doesn't know backup strats, he is going to be in big trouble right now.
So I guess he has to do the up fire wheel strat now?
He is going to have to do that, so it's just a matter of how safe is he going to take it. I'm not sure if he knows that strat. Endy is just right behind him now, so Endy could literally catch up by the end of this stage, depending on how Rich takes this next section here. And he takes it a little cautiously. I like that approach, making sure that he doesn't die. So let's see that if he knows, he should keep fire wheel now. I'm not sure if he knows this. He does. So Rich's experience paying off. He knows that if he keeps fire wheel, he can take this boss out with just the 1 ninja clone. And he does so very nicely. So, but as you can see, Endy is right on his tail now.
Just like that. You never know what's going to happen in this game. But hey, now Rich knows that he has to execute. Maybe he may not know he's still ahead, but he knows that his back is against the wall now, and he's got to go. He's got to press.
Yeah, he does. I mean, I'm just hoping that, maybe that may have even taken some of the pressure off of him. He's like, oh, I died, Endy's probably just going to beat me now, so let me not worry too much. Let me just play my game. But, it's different people respond differently, so he needs to get this clip through the wall here. Gets it well done there. If Endy misses this, which he doesn't, of course, he would have been in trouble. But, all right, on into 5-2. So this is where Rich died last time. He's got to be thinking about that a little bit. I'm guessing he died in the 3rd screen.
I mean, how is it for you, Sinister, when you're kind of going into a stage, like, maybe you're doing a few races and you've struggled with a certain stage in the past, or, you just died here recently. How does that kind of affect your mindset going into a stage?
I think it can definitely get in your head. I think the best thing is to not think too much. If you think too much, then you're going to get yourself into trouble. So one last trouble spot for Rich here. If he can get through this damage boost, he will be okay. And it looks like he didn't even go for the damage boost, and he does go for it and get it. So Endy is slowly gaining on Rich, and we're coming up to the part that Endy could take the lead because he is quick kill capable. I don't believe Rich is, so let's keep an eye on Endy's screen.
Rich just playing it safe.
Oof, not quite. So Rich he's maintaining his lead just ever so slightly, hanging on by a thread.
This is close. It's insane. I mean, even in Act 6, it's not something to sleep over because, hey, just one little mistake can happen, all of a sudden Endy takes the lead. Or maybe the other way around, Endy makes a little mistake and Rich gains a little bit of time.
Yeah, I mean, there's places where you can get knocked back, as Endy does. He takes another death, he's into the pit. No. And that is a tough death because it's so rare to die in 6-2 that he may not know where his backups are. There's a ninja clone coming up here that he hopefully knows to get. He does get it, but Rich is going to advance. He is on into 6-2, and he's got a pretty solid lead here. I mean, now there's just not enough time left in the game for Endy to catch up by just normal means. I think Rich would have to take a death at this point. I
mean, his health is fine in 6-2. He should have no problems killing the boss.
Yeah, he's looking good. He's got 4 health, and he's standing back just in case. Andy also with 4 health. So, yeah, I mean, this one is going to be tight. Andy was lucky with that death, though. That is definitely not the most costly death.
Okay. Was he able to... I didn't quite see. Was he able to get a second clone yet, or...?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to tell on the screen there. He may not have one, but there's several that he can get here.
Okay.
And I think he does indeed have one. So 7-1, a really cruel and brutal stage, and Rich already getting knocked back, and that's going to put him in trouble kind of for this boost. Let's see if he can still pull it off. Really nice recovery by Rich.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure he must be, kind of upset over his death, but little does he know he has a pretty nice lead right now.
Little does he know he's taking another hit there. He's kind of got to watch his damage, and each of those hits that he gets knocked back, Andy is gaining like a second on him, so he can't really afford to take too many more unintentional hits. And thankfully, he clears that damage boost, so he should be getting into the next screen. Health situation is okay.
I guess it's at that point where maybe he can take another 1 or 2 unintentional hits before he's kind of out of health.
That would be, yeah, he wouldn't really want to take too much more. I mean, he's got 2 health drops coming up right here, so as long as he gets this first one, he's very safe now. But Andy is like just right behind him, so he's going to need a good boss rush, and don't make a mistake on this final screen, because that's the absolute worst place to take a death. But
yes.
Looks like Rich is through. He gets the health, and he's on into the boss rush. Plenty of health. He can take this thing down.
All right. So there you go.
And Jackie O is down. So Rich he'd have to have a mistake. He might be thinking about what happened on the demon last time, because he had a really bad demon fight. And Andy would pull ahead if that happened again. And struggling a little bit on the second form there.
Oh, wow.
Andy pulling ever closer. All right, don't mess this up. He's got plenty of ninpo. Okay, the head is down. Rich should be able to take this. It's going to be close. Use your ninpo. All right. All right, he's got it. Rich taking it down. So close.
Wow.
So close. Andy right behind him. Only a couple seconds separating. And this is what you can expect from the top 8, guys. This is what you can expect. These players are so good that we are going to see matchups like this all day long. So 1-1. So we're going to switch over to Gardas and Arcus, and we're going to see what we have going on in this matchup. And it looks like Gardas again with the slight lead. Neither player is taking a death, but it seems Gardas is he's just played a little better again, it seems.
Yeah, I mean, I guess Gyarados has kind of come, he's kind of shown that he's not messing around. He's being serious. He's showing why he is the number 2 seed and why he deserves to be that. So
right, and we weren't completely synced up, so Arcus catching up there a little bit, but still behind. But it's closer than it looked.
Absolutely.
Looks like maybe Gardas with maybe like a 5-second lead or so.
Yeah,
so we are synced up now.
Very good. Definitely, stage 7 could be the difference maker. Just maybe one tiny thing goes wrong, and all of a sudden Arcus is ahead.
Certainly. So even though Gardas was the higher seed, I really felt that Arcus was the favorite going into this matchup. Just seeing him play the way he's played, but Gardas just doing a number on Arcus right now. I mean, taking this thing 2-0, I would not have expected to see that.
Absolutely. Yeah, this definitely was I thought was going to be one of the closer matches. And you know what? Hey, game 1 was really close. And this is definitely close too. Gyarados is just showing why he's really good at this game.
He is. And I suspect he was doing a lot of practice offline. He wasn't streaming a whole lot this past week. And I was kind of wondering, like, is he really getting ready for the tournament? Is he kind of just moving on to other things? But I think he was on the grind. He was on the quiet grind.
Hey, you know what? Just because they're not streaming doesn't mean they're not grinding, so you gotta look out for everybody.
You do. So Gardas, a couple crucial screens left to go, and if he clears these screens, you gotta believe that he's gonna take this thing down. His health situation is great. Yep. He's got all his ninpo.
Both of their healths are in fine shape.
But another really, really close race. So if Gardas were to die in this next screen, then that's like the absolute disaster. But He's just got to make one more damage boost, and he does make it.
Perfect.
So comes down to the boss rush. Arcus, he's behind, but he's not completely out of it. If Gyarados were to somehow mess up in the boss rush here, say perhaps the way that that Infested Rich did, that's what it would take. But if not, he is going to take this thing 2-0. All right, one more form. And Gyarados takes it 2-0 over Arcus, representing for Italy. Wow, that was quite a display. So 10:39, another really solid time. 10:45 for Arcus. Great job there. And we're gonna have one more match. We still have to decide Infested Rich versus Endy. They're gonna play game 3. We are gonna see that in its entirety. We are gonna get to see the entire deciding game between Endy Sweet and Infested Rich, but congratulations to Gyarados taking it 2-0 over Arcus 87, a very dangerous competitor.
Absolutely, that was impressive. I mean, listen, Arcus, he performed. He got, I believe, 1040s in both of his games. Those are really good times. So I mean, it's not like Gyarados kind of just sneaked his way in. He had to perform, and he stepped up. So better watch out for Gyarados in the future rounds. Yeah,
he stepped up in a major way. He played really, really well. And Arcus, like you said, he played well, but just not quite up to his standard. I mean, I saw him doing all those no reset runs, and it just seemed like he was just getting 1030 or less every single time. And I think, the nerves and the pressure of top 8, that maybe threw his game off just a little bit. And, those 5-10 seconds maybe ended up being the difference. But yeah, it's hard, man. You're in the top 8, you put up solid times, and it's not good enough.
Absolutely. Yeah. And hey, let's moving on to the Endy Rich match. Hey, this was Endy's first loss in the tournament. So I kind of wonder if maybe that's going to affect his mindset going into game 3 now.
I think you're right. This is the first time that he's tasted defeat, so it might be in his head a little bit. He had some strange deaths that were a little unusual. I mean, especially that one, the death in 6-1. It really makes you think, like, what's happening? What's going on right now? So I think for him, he's just going to have to refocus. And for Rich, I mean, Rich is basically just on a free roll right now, man. Like, he probably wasn't even expecting to win or anything, and now he's got a chance. He's got a chance to advance to the semifinals here, so he's got to be feeling pretty good.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think Endy might be feeling still a little bit good because he died twice, and he still only finished a few seconds behind Rich. So he's kind of, I guess, got to feel a little bit better about that, knowing that even if he dies, he still has a chance.
Right. Yeah, I mean, that certainly helps your mindset, but I would expect that we're going to see top play from both of these guys. I don't think a death is going to be able to cut it in game 3. Both of these guys know the importance of this match right now, and I think we're going to see some really, really top tier play in this last one. So Gyarados advancing, he is going to be on break now. So that's another interesting facet to this. Because of the way that we're having to space these matches out, he's not going to get to play again for probably another maybe 45 minutes or so. So, he can kind of take a little dinner break. He's going to end up taking on the winner of Jorf and White Hat. But for now, we have Endy Rich, game 3.
All right, if you had to pick one, who are you going to pick, Sinister?
I don't know, man. I feel like the momentum is with Infested Rich, and if Endy can't get his mindset right, then he's in big trouble right now.
You know what? I feel like Rich Endy kind of struggled a lot with the 2-2, and I think that's kind of be the difference maker. If he can kind of show that he can get through 2-2 no problem, I think that's probably going to mean that he's got the advantage.
You're right. That may build his confidence, and let's see if he can get the quick kill right now, and he in fact does. But so does Rich. So that was an opportunity for advantage, but both players getting it done and keeping on pace.
I guess both of the competitors are kind of showing up. They know everything's on the line, and they're trying to do everything in their power to make sure they can go as fast as possible.
Yeah, you can't make any more mistakes. You got to play at the top of your game, and this is a stage that, you can't take this stage for granted. It is the easiest stage in the game, but again, one hit, one knockback, that's going to cost like a second, and those seconds add up. Can't afford to lose them. So both of these guys gunning for the 218, and Endy gets it. So does Rich. They are right on top of each other. So here's the crucial screen. This is where Endy died last time. Can he get through? Can Rich get through? Let's see.
No problem so far. Going up to that really tight jump.
So Endy getting a little bit of a lead there. Rich took it safe, and I don't fault him for doing that because you don't want to take the death there. Endy went balls to the wall, but he made it. He made that pretty much, pixel perfect jump almost. So he's going to gain just a little bit of time there.
I think he's got to feel really good after kind of getting past this first hurdle. So that's going to give Endy a lot of confidence going in. And when Endy has the confidence, he's a scary opponent.
Yep, and he's gaining just a little bit of time. Rich having a little bit of an error at the end of the stage there, so the seconds are already starting to mount. Endy with maybe a 2 or 3 second lead going into the third act. So this one, again, going to come down to there's a quick kill at the end on the boss. There's some areas where you can take some damage and get knocked back. And of course, there's a couple dangerous screens where you could fall to your death. So all of those things going to be on these players' minds as they traverse this this is really a first very, very dangerous act, I would say.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot of tight jumps. Anything can go wrong. What do you think is their mindsets now? They're kind of in the flow of things. Maybe Rich feels like his play hasn't been the best, or maybe he feels like it's good. Do you think they have to kind of adjust their focus mid-game and just say, you know what, maybe my early game wasn't the best, and I kind of have to just change gears and go even better than what I was doing before?
I mean, I think they both have to be pretty happy with how they're playing so far. Rich's errors have been very, very small. So he wasn't happy about them at the time, but I'm thinking he probably just got past them pretty quickly because none of them were that heartbreaking. He's losing maybe a second, but you can see the Endy just with slightly better movement, just slowly building on that lead. But he does get knocked back, and he actually missed the scroll. And I don't know that there's a backup scroll. I believe that is the backup scroll. So he is going to be in a little bit of trouble now. This is an interesting situation.
So what happens now? Because he's going to be at 90 Ninpo, or is he going to be able to get 100 still?
He will be able to get to 90 Ninpo unless he really goes out of his way. I think he's going to be stuck at 90, so he does still manage to get the kill on the boss. But it just makes things a little bit tighter for him now, and it's got to be on his mind because I doubt this is a situation he's encountered where he's been short on Ninpo. So he's going to have to kind of be looking at his Ninpo count like, do I have enough? Do I have enough? And that could be a distraction for him.
Definitely. Do you think there's enough Ninpo grabs throughout the stage? I mean, I know this may be an issue with the final boss, but before that, do you think he may need to get like Ninpo in spots he may normally not think about?
It's certainly possible, because he's going to be 10 short, from when he would normally get max. This is a screen. It's a good idea to keep an eye on it here. You can see that he seems to be doing okay. I think it's gonna factor in maybe a little bit later on. But he seems to be adjusting pretty well, but Rich is playing really well, and he's actually got a bit of a lead here. So quietly, Rich has taken his play to the next level and pulled ahead.
How much time do you think this is going to potentially lose for Endy in the final boss?
Well, not a ton, because he does know a good strategy on Jackio, which allows him to, normally he would enter the final form with 3 up fires, but he's only going to have 2, that's really technically all you need. It may cost him about a second and a half, possibly 2 seconds at the most, but with how tight this race is right now, that could end up being the difference.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a very interesting scenario. I'm kind of curious. It's like you said, I wonder if maybe this is going to get in Endy's head a little bit, and he's going to have to maybe do something he may not be used to, and that might be the difference maker.
Yeah. I mean, that's not. I've played this game so much, and I can probably count on one hand how many times I've missed that Ninpo and kept going in a run. It's a very odd situation. Mm-hmm. So, but both players playing well, no deaths to this point, and I think they both understand how serious that this final game is. They know what's on the line, so they're both stepping it up. I like it.
Yeah, you see, Andy had a little bit of a slower clip there, so it's kind of just little things is allowing Rich to kind of pull ahead.
Oh wow, it looks like
Oh.
Andy actually having to back off the clip, so he is far behind now. So
Yeah.
Andy may need the quick kill on Ashtar in order to pull this thing out if Rich is able to go deathless now. I mean, that was pretty huge. Andy
Now
having to go all the way around.
Is Andy's health an issue? Because he's quite low.
He should be able to pick up a health grab here. He should be
Uh-oh.
safe as long as he doesn't take an inadvertent hit on this final spider. He should be all right. There's the health drop. So yeah, he's looking good. But yeah, I think it's in his head right now. And actually, I'm trying to think if he has enough Ninpo to do the quick kill. I think he should. Oh, and a death though for Andy. Wow.
Wow.
Is Infested Rich going to pull the upset? This would be a huge upset. We're talking about the number 8 seed versus the number 1 seed.
I mean, Andy was looking like he couldn't be defeated in the Swiss rounds because he wasn't.
No.
he was strong going into the top 8. This is, and like you said, Sinister, you put a lot of time into this game in the 2 weeks, so this is insane. I would have never expected this from Andy.
You know, people made their predictions. I don't think in any of the bracket predictions that I saw that anybody picked it Infested Rich. So he might have taken that to heart. He might have seen that and been like, oh yeah, I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you guys I can play some Ninja Gaiden 2.
And what happened to Andy there? Did he have a slower Ashtar kill?
I think he may have been a little slow there. I didn't quite catch it, but based on his if he goes for the quick kill, he could have lost a little bit more time. But he's got to just be fuming right now at what's going on in this race. It's really got to be tough for him to imagine that, you know, because he was expecting to win this, and you know he was talking like, hey, I'm going to take care of this quarterfinal match no problem, and you know that's not what's happening right now.
You know, I'm looking at Rich's movement in 6-2. He seems to be playing a lot safer than usual. I kind of wonder if he knows what's going on right now.
He may, and he took a hit there against the boss, but he could afford to, luckily for him. So Rich really got to bear down and focus here because it's very easy to take a death in 7-1 or 7-2, and if he manages to go deathless, there's no way Andy can catch him. So it's right here, right now. It's in Rich's hands.
All right, this is it. This is where Rich gets to show why he's in this top 8, why he deserves to be here. You know, he performed when it counted, when he had to perform in the Swiss, he did. So he's good. I think he's going to show you guys why he's in the top 8 and why he deserves to move on.
Well, he is through the difficult screens of 7-1, so he will be surviving 7-1. Meanwhile, Andy getting through that first difficult screen, but strange things can still happen in 7-2. Rich taking a little bit of a hit there that he didn't need to take and he is still okay in his health situation. But he's got to hit these damage boosts. Can't afford to fall in a pit. There's a lot of pits in 7-2. And he is through the first screen. Plenty of health. And Andy is just coming into 7-2 right now, so this could be the end of the road for Andy Sui. Undefeated and then knocked out in the quarterfinals? Man, never would have guessed it.
This is crazy.
But it's not over yet.
It's not.
Rich has one more damage boost. He's got to clear this last pit and not have a disaster on the final bosses. He gets the backup health very wisely, and he is on into Jackie-O. And getting a couple extra hits there, so nice job, nice kill on Jackie-O. He's got plenty of Ninpo. He's struggled a little bit on this boss rush, though. He's really going to have to pull it together for these last two guys. And he's struggling a little bit more there, but he's got so much health that it almost doesn't matter. So he's got a couple up fires left. He's got one to kill the head and one to use on the heart. So really in good shape. Meanwhile, Andy being one short. And it looks like Rich is going to pull the upset.
Wow.
He's done it. Infested Rich, everybody. Infested Rich taking out the juggernaut, Andy Sui. His undefeated run is over. Wow.
Well done. Okay. Rich showing that, you know, don't sleep on Rich. I mean, he may have been the one to kind of sneak in the top 8, but he's showing that he's here to game. So look out.
Look out. So Infested Rich going to advance. He will take on the winner of Backslash versus Jimmy Poopins, which we will be showing you shortly. And then, of course, we'll also be showing you Jorf versus White Hat as well. So just another change to our format from last time in the Swiss. We told our players that if they wanted to do an interview, it was going to be optional. So they will have to actually reach out to us and tell us that they want to do an interview or not. We're not going to be asking until probably the finals. We're probably not going to be asking anybody to do an interview. So we're going to see if any of those players actually want to speak up on what happened in the quarterfinals. And then if not, we're going to be moving on. So Infested Rich with a 10:45. I think that was his best time so far. Is that right?
I believe so. I can actually check right now and see what the times were. So Rich had a, I'm just looking at RaceBot right now. He had a, RaceBot said he had a 10:48 in that match. He had a 10:57 in this second match. And the first one, I believe he had a 11:16. So yeah, he improved with each round.
Well, he's going to have to keep improving because his matchups do not get any easier. He is going to be playing the winner of the number 1 and 2 seeds going into this tournament, whoever wins between Backslash and Jimmy. And that not to say that Endy is, any easier than those guys, but they're just as tough, if not tougher. So we're going to see what happens there. But as for right now, Endy does want to come in for an interview. So we are going to pull Endy in briefly while they set up the next set of matches. Okay, we have Endy Swee with us. Endy, what went on?
Yes, mister. Well, I don't know. I mean, I played pretty good the first game, and then I guess it got into my head in the one. I fell down into the second game, and I don't know. I think I recovered good, but then I fell down in 6-1, and I wasn't nervous, so I don't know what happened really. And the second game, I missed the scroll on 3-2, and that affects the whole game basically because you have 10 less impo, which is a hassle in Act 4-1 to have enough for the flame shield in the pillar room, and you have to pick up extra impo here and there, and it affects a lot of things. And then I died again in 5-2. I don't know what happened there. And then I understood that it's pretty much, screwed. But it's all fine. Rich deserved to win since I played bad. So, and huge congratulations to him. That was yeah. I don't know what to say.
Thank you for coming on. I mean, it was definitely it was heartbreaking to watch some of those deaths happening. They're very unusual. I've watched you play a ton. But that's Ninja Gaiden 2, though. I mean, sometimes you just unexpected things happen, and you're like, "What? How did that happen?" And it's hard to recover from that. So you put on a great show, man. You swept the Swiss. You've improved your PB down to below 10 minutes and 20 seconds. I guess I would just want to ask, do you think you would push your PB any further? Because your PB does not have the quick kill on Ashtar, and you were very capable of doing it. So any plans for that?
Yes. Unfortunately, this was my last Ninja Gaiden day for some time because I have the Pass the Torch relay coming up. And after that, I have 5 games submitted for the ESA, which I have to practice. So I'm not going to have time for Ninja Gaiden 2 right now. But
okay.
This is a game I want to continue after I'm done with everything else, because I really like it.
All right. Well, you guys should make sure that you follow Endy Swee. His Twitch name is just like you saw it there on the screen. He's going to be preparing for ESA. Would you mind just sharing those 5 games with the viewers so they know what you're going to be playing at ESA?
Yeah, I'm going to play DuckTales, Chip and Dale, Batman, Gremlins 2, and Yuma Penguin, Monogatari.
That is a pretty strong
lineup. Everyone gets
That's a pretty strong lineup. Now, I have to ask you, is the Gremlins 2, is that solo or is that a race against Infested Rich?
No, that's a race against Infested Rich, so it's going to be a salty run back.
All right, so we're going to get the salty run back at ESA. Great.
Yeah, and Batman is also against Rich, by the way. So.
Oh, okay. Well, I think people are going to want to see that for sure. So, all right, man. Well, thanks for talking with us, and best of luck at ESA. We look forward to seeing you there.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. That was a great tournament, and I wish the rest of the competition luck in the upcoming games.
Thank you. All right, so you heard it there from Andy. Really good sport. You got to love the guy, but we are going to have to move on. We got to keep things rolling. We got Backslash and Jimmy coming up here. So if things couldn't get any crazier than they just did from this first quarterfinal matches, what are we going to see, Darkman? What should we expect for this marquee matchup?
Everything. I mean, this is
Everything.
I feel like we're gonna see it all. I mean, this is, like I said, the one time they played in Swiss, it was insane. It was the best. I felt like it was the best match of Swiss easily. It was intense. Like those two showed why they're some of the best in the game. So it's gonna be something. I mean, I if you asked me to pick one right now, I could not tell you who. I don't know who's gonna win. It's gonna be crazy.
Well, Jimmy is hoping that they can somehow do a Rocky and Bullwinkle race instead, but I don't think Backslash is going to agree to that, unfortunately. So both of these guys, as you can see, they had killer average times in the Swiss rounds. They both took 2 losses, interestingly enough, which is not something that anybody would have predicted. But they made it to top 8 nonetheless because they had such excellent tiebreakers. Backslash with the best overall average time with 10:37, and Jimmy right behind him with 10:40. So these guys are ultra consistent. Jimmy, of course, having the world record. And he did take the one match that they did play. So you got to expect that Backslash, hoping for some revenge like a true ninja should. They both love stage 7-1, and as soon as we're ready, we're going to get it on with these 2 top flight players. So here we go. And then I guess we're going to have our other quarterfinal match too. Can't forget about that. We're going to have Jorf and White Hat, so we'll see about that as well. So Gurfuggery is actually his Twitch name, everybody. You want to follow these guys. Again, we're showing their Twitch names here on the stream so you guys can follow. But he does prefer to go by Jorf. He is our lone Canadian entrant into the tournament, and also very consistent. He had 10:46 was his average throughout, and he's got good experience. Been playing since 2014. And what about some of these other games he's played, Darkman? What do you make of that?
I mean, Jorf just goes to tell you that, you know, he's well-rounded. When you have Octodad, A Boy and His Bob, and Kid Icarus, that's a well-rounded lineup, I'd say.
Yeah, yeah, it is.
It's just like I said. This is a guy he has an incredible game sense. He has an innate ability to be able to speedrun, and that shows you in his mystery game tournament experience. So that lends itself very well to tournaments like this. So definitely, I'd say he's one of my favorites heading into the top 8.
Yeah, you got to believe that he is one of the favorites just because of what you said. You know, the tournament experience, the diversity of games that he plays, his history with this game in particular, having had world record before, grinding it for so long, the experience that he's got in this particular game. So we're going to see what he does, and of course we're going to get to see him playing his favorite stage 5-2 that he loves to play. But don't count out White Hat. White Hat, again, somebody that very, very quietly has, he got a 10:29, which there's not many people that have sub 10:30 in this game. His average time was 10:52, not too far behind Jorf. He may have been someone like Garados that was maybe doing some offline practice. We know that if Jorf was practicing, it was offline. I don't think he has streamed since the last time. But, White Hat, he's got that experience with the other NES platformer type games. So I think he's ready to go. And I think we're going to go Jimmy versus Backslash and then switch over. So we are going to see Jimmy Backslash first. They're going to get it on in their first game of their quarterfinal matchup, and as soon as they're ready to go, we're going to kick it off. Backslash using the go ahead.
No, I was going to say, if you're so bold to predict, who do you think's going to pull through in this one?
Okay, well, you know what? I did do one of those bracket predictions, and in my bracket prediction, I did pick Jimmy, but it wasn't an easy choice. I think that either of these guys could easily come out on top. Jimmy, like you mentioned earlier, he does like to take those risky strats sometimes, and it could bite him. If he takes a death, I don't think he can beat Backslash in a game where he takes a death. I just don't think it can happen. So he's got to be pretty careful about that.
I agree. But he does have the buffer of this being best of 3. So, you know what? Maybe he'll play riskier in game 1 to try to kind of pull through and, maybe get it in Backslash's head that, hey, I'm taking all these risks and I'm going to show you why I'm the world record holder. So if he kind of, does like what he did in the Swiss and like gets that insane run, I wonder if that's kind of getting Backslash's head, that maybe he can't beat him even if he plays his A game.
Well, you could be right, and honestly, both of these guys, they did their bracket predictions, and neither of them picked themselves to win. They both picked their opponents, so it just shows you that they both have a lot of respect for each other. And we are underway. Backslash versus Jimmy, number 2. We're gonna see what's happening. And round 1, game 1. We're going to see who's going for the tricky strats and who's not. I think Backslash is probably going to be playing more like Arcus was, and Jimmy is going to be playing more like Jimmy. So right away, we're going to see it right here in this first clone pickup, and we see Jimmy going for the tougher clone pickup, and so you can see he takes a lead immediately. So just by that slightly different movement, and he's got a better ladder grab, so Jimmy already taking a lead.
It's coming up to the quick kill. Let's see if both of these competitors can get it. So Jimmy was able to get it, but Backslash just missed it.
Yeah, so Jimmy pulling ahead even further, and already we've kind of got a separation between these two players. And I know Jimmy was looking to race some people last night. At the very last minute, he's trying to get in that last minute practice. So one interesting thing about Jimmy is that he actually wants to push this game even further, even though he has world record. As you can see, he gets pushed back there a little bit, but still maintaining his lead. He has found a whole rack of new strategies, and he believes that he can actually push this game under 10 minutes. And I have to wonder if that's affected his practice at all, because he's been kind of grinding on these new crazy strats that are not going to be things that he uses in this particular competition.
Yeah, so Jimmy playing pretty sloppy 2-1 for his standards, at least. Getting hit twice, I believe, and that basically erased the entire lead that he had from the quick kill, so very interesting.
Yeah, we can see Backslash has pulled ahead because Jimmy had some poor movement in the first screen of 2-2 as well. So Backslash, Mr. Consistency, don't make mistakes or he'll just pull ahead of you. That's what he does. But Jimmy has plenty of opportunity to catch up. So Backslash did tell me that he has learned the Ashtar quick kill. He didn't know that for the Swiss rounds. He does know it now, but he didn't seem very, very confident that he would be getting it as they both get the ladder clip there. But Backslash with a slightly better stage, 210 to 209. Takes a small lead into Act 3.
Yep, still very early though. Obviously, anything can happen from here on out.
Yeah, expect the unexpected. That's been the story so far. I mean, we've seen very strange deaths. We've seen people getting hit in places they wouldn't normally get hit. We've seen a missed scroll. And this is all just in a couple matches. So, yeah, there's a lot left to go.
What do you think is Backslash's mindset going into this? Because, he obviously went up against Jimmy and he lost, even having a great run in 10-27. Do you feel like you said, he knows the Ashtar quick kill now, but do you think things like that, do you feel like maybe he has to go for those things, or he feels like he has to get them because he's going up against somebody like Jimmy, or maybe he's just going to stick to his game?
I think he's just going to stick to his game because, he knows that he's a consistent player, and he knows that Jimmy's going to take risks, as we see Jimmy pulling ahead because Backslash took a hit. But he knows that if he can just stick around, that, hey, Jimmy's not always going to get a 10-17 or whatever it was that he got. He's eventually going to take some deaths, or he's going to mess some things up, and that's Backslash's opportunity. So, Backslash always plays the same game, and I think he's going to stick with it. No need to change it up now.
Definitely. I mean, if he was to pull off 3 10-27s in this matchup, I would be shocked if he did not win.
And an interesting development, Jimmy actually wasted 2 extra Ninpo, so he has to pick up an extra Ninpo there, and I think he can still get the quick kill. I'm not sure. No, he's 1 short, so Backslash is going to be able to catch up some of that time that he lost if he lands the quick kill, and he doesn't, unfortunately. So Jimmy maintaining his lead on into Act 4. And I think Jimmy's movement is just slightly better than Backslash's. You see these guys doing this kind of sword climbing technique when they're going up the walls. That's not just for show, ladies and gentlemen. That is actually gaining frames. So Jimmy, you can see right here, he's kind of slashing off the wall furiously. And again, inadvertently using his Ninpo. So that could come back to bite him, but he knows this is a backup Ninpo right here. does manage to pick up the scroll. There's another backup Ninpo right there, and he picks it up, so he's gotten himself back into okay shape.
And I believe the Invincible Fire Wheel uses 15?
Yes, the Invincible Fire Wheel is the most costly sub-weapon to use, but generally in this game there's plenty of Ninpo to be had, and as long as you don't use too many extras, you're okay, you can kind of recover. So, but I'm thinking that maybe Jimmy hasn't been practicing as much as normal because his movement just isn't quite as crisp in certain areas as it normally would be. So it'll be interesting to see how he takes this screen.
Yeah, it definitely, I agree with you. I've definitely kind of seen he seems to be just a tad bit off. And in this game, being a tad bit off can definitely make a huge difference.
It can, and backslash inadvertently using an Invincible Fire Wheel, that costs a lot of time. So Jimmy gets the up fire. This is where he died in the tournament last time. He doesn't take the death there, so he's actually going to gain some time. He's pretty consistent with that strategy, but it is certainly a dangerous one. But you'll see how he takes the boss out now very, very quickly with that up fire.
You know, I have to feel with maybe he didn't feel like he was on his A game coming into this, but you know, I'm sure getting the up fire wheel there and kind of executing perfectly, I'm sure that's got to give him a little bit of confidence.
Yeah, I think he's building his confidence at this point, and you know, backslash sticking with him, but backslash has had some uncharacteristic mistakes. I've very rarely seen him accidentally use a Ninpo, and especially that one that he used. That's one of the more costly incidents of accidentally activating Invincible Fire Wheel, because you need to take a damage boost, and if you're invincible, you can't take the damage boost. So that's why Jimmy has a large lead at this point, and Quick Kill is gonna decide some things. You know, if one of the players gets it and the other one doesn't, that's certainly gonna make things a lot more interesting.
Absolutely. I mean, it seems like Jimmy's getting better and better as the stages progress, so I don't think he's going to be giving up this lead without, you know, backslash kind of pulling off some great things like the Ashtar quick kill.
Yeah, he's going to need it, and I don't know if Jimmy's increased his consistency. Jimmy, a very bad ladder grab there. That actually cost him about 2 seconds, believe it or not. He grabbed at the very top. I don't think he was trying to play it that safe. But backslash with a bit of a better ladder grab, picking up some time. So let's see Jimmy approaching Ashtar. Can he get his patented quick kill? He was the first person to ever get it.
Oh,
and he's got it!
Wow. It's every time I see it, it looks amazing.
It does. And Jimmy is just on fire right now. Backslash not even going for it. He's not even going for the quick kill. And I think he just hasn't had enough practice at it. He probably doesn't feel confident, but Jimmy heating up. So he kind of got off to a bit of a rough start there, but he seems to have recovered things and got himself a pretty good lead at this point.
This is the guy that's been putting in so much time to this game. Like, it's insane how much time he's put into this game, and it's basically showing right now that, you know what, he may have got it off to, you know, maybe not his best start, but he's basically showing you guys why he is the world record holder.
Yes, the #1 seed, but he's still got a long road ahead of him. We still have Act 7. Easy place to die. He's got plenty of health going into the boss of Act 6 here, though, so he should be fine. And you can see he advances up a little bit to get his ninja clones up closer, but backing off. Very nice kill there. Backslash has his work cut out for him to catch up.
Absolutely. Still, though, it's anyone's game. Jimmy just makes one mistake in 7-1 or 7-2, and you never know.
Yeah, critical screen right here. These birds, there's a lot of birds, and there's a lot of places to fall down a pit. But Jimmy not doing any of that. 7-1 is his favorite stage, and it's also Backslash's favorite stage. So I think we'll see both of these guys bringing their A game to 7-1. They really enjoy this stage. For me, this is like a gut-wrenching stage. I hate this stage, but they love it. So nice job by Jimmy. He's going to clear 7-1 on a really solid pace. Backslash getting the double bird boost.
Looks like health is not an issue for Jimmy at the moment.
Jimmy is looking good. He has not made many mistakes since some of those early errors. Really pulled his game together nicely. So he may be on pace to get around 10:30, I think.
Seems like a reasonable time.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but he is taking a little bit of some hits there from birds, and he's got to be careful. He goes for a dangerous strat there, which is the double bird boost, and he lost a bunch of time, but not enough. That Ashtar quick kill buffered him. I think if he hadn't got the Ashtar quick kill, they might have been even now. So Jimmy having to get the backup health, he doesn't even have a choice at this point, but he's in good shape here. He's really good at handling the boss rush. He knows exactly how to do these fights. He's done them a million times, and you got to imagine that he's going to take this thing down. Backslash, not even getting the backup health. He knows he's behind, I think.
Yeah.
But Jimmy just putting on a clinic at this point. He's got plenty of Ninpo going into the final form. And it looks like Jimmy is going to take it. He's going to take it with a sub 1030. Backslash right behind him, but just not quite good enough. 1024 for Jimmy.
That's impressive.
Yeah, you can say that again. And backslash, so it looks like even without the Ashtar quick kill, Jimmy still would have taken it down. But gosh, it's just so, I mean, 1037 and you don't win. That is brutal. 1037 would have won most of the matches we saw so far. We're going to cut in on White Hat and Jorf. And it looks like Jorf had a death at some point, so he's behind, but he's not too far behind, though. I think we're going to have to get the timers actually aligned so that we can see who is where, but White Hat having a slight lead at this point.
It looks like Jorf actually got hit in 4-1, and he lost his invincible fire wheel, so he had to have Art of the Fire Wheel, and I think that must have lost him quite a bit of time.
Ah, okay. But he is still in this, so White Hat, although he is in the lead, Jorf just kind of having a little bit of probably better movement overall. Looks like this one's going to come down to the wire as well. These guys heading on into 6-2. So really great performances by everybody so far. We've had some deaths, but you have to expect that in Ninja Gaiden 2. Even with the best players in the world, you're still going to see some deaths here and there.
Absolutely.
All right, White Hat on into the boss, and he's in a safe position there. Takes the boss out very quickly. Jorf does the same, and we're on into X7.
Neck and neck. This is going to be the difference maker. 7-1, 7-2.
Indeed it is. And Jorf actually caught up just a little bit of time on that boss. He had a slightly better boss kill. Maybe 20 frames, but it can add up. Things can happen. Jorf through that first critical screen. White Hat approaching the double bird boost. Gets the first. Gets the second. He's up there. It's up to Jorf.
Just as well, having a good screen. Oh!
Wow, Jorf taking a very unusual death there. It looked like he fell off of the ladder.
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. That was strange.
That could cost him the match. It's okay, so in Ninja Gaiden, if you're holding the jump button and you're on a wall or a ladder, you will actually automatically jump off. So there are situations where if he was like accidentally holding diagonal and jump just for even like a frame or two, he would have just jumped off of the ladder and fell to his death, and looks like that maybe is what happened. Meanwhile, White Hat is just on cruise control right now. He's got plenty of health. He's straightened out his Ninpo situation.
Jorf's health is a little bit suspect. He had a couple of like bad damage boosts, so I wonder if maybe this is just Jorf hasn't been practicing the game as much. Maybe that's kind of showing right now.
That is another possibility. As we said, he's not been streaming, but White Hat on into the boss rush, and he's looking real good. Got plenty of health. He did miss a hit there, though. He opts to use a Ninpo. I think that's wise. Jackie-O can be very difficult to hit with your sword just because of the way he moves so randomly. So White Hat just saying, you know what? I don't need that extra Ninpo for the final form. All I need is one to kill the head, which he has. And he didn't want to lose a bunch of time trying to slash Jackie-O, so good strategy there.
Jorf did not go for the backup health, so...
Well, he probably realizes that he's behind after that death, and he's just going to have to go all out. So Jorf could take a death here. In which case, now that this is the top 8, we do allow forfeits. You don't have to actually complete the run. There's no tiebreaker scenarios, as we see White Hat closing it out. So really great job by White Hat. And Jorf, let's see if he can finish it off. He does. Okay, so Jorf not taking a death. He is even indeed going to finish, but yeah, just really unfortunate death there for Jorf. We've just seen so much crazy stuff so far.
Yeah, I mean, definitely things I didn't expect to happen throughout this entire top 8. I'm very surprised.
Yeah, and I mean, these are things, I don't think we saw hardly any of these things happen in the Swiss. I can't recall seeing a misscroll. Some of these deaths we haven't seen. And Jorf, you can see already, he's right back to the grind. He's just practicing. He wants to make sure that his movement is good. He was doing this also during the Swiss, we saw. White Hat kind of taking a little break. He's probably feeling pretty good at this point. Again, he was an underdog against Jorf, but not to be underestimated.
No, absolutely not. I mean, I believe RaceBot had him at 10:43. Yeah, very respectable time. I mean, that's going to win you a lot of your matches. So I've been impressed by White Hat so far. Let's see if he can keep it up in game 2.
Yeah, he's kind of got that quiet confidence to him. And these guys are going to go again because we did indeed see Jimmy and Backslash first. So we're alternating games for this quarterfinals, which is almost over. And then once we get to the semis, we are going to go full out and just show you the matches in their entirety. Again, we have to we're on a schedule here, so we can't show every single match of the quarterfinals. But what we've seen so far has been very exciting and very, very top-level play from all of our top 8 participants.
Absolutely. It's been very impressive so far.
So these guys getting ready to rematch. You can see Jorf actually going back to that screen where he had the death. Just kind of cleaning it up, making sure, you want to get your confidence back. Because those are the kind of things that kind of just chip away a little bit at your confidence. You take a strange death like that, and it just gets in your head. You're thinking, like, what happened? So Jorf got his work cut out for him.
I mean, I kind of wonder, though, whether there's maybe such a thing as over-practicing something. If it's maybe you don't want to let it get into your head. Because I know, for me at least, when I'm practicing something that, I keep failing, it just, the more I practice it, it seems like the more it gets in my head. So I wonder if maybe that might be a factor, too.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it certainly can be. But I think with these guys, Jorf, he's probably, I think his play, kind of like Rich, I believe Jorf's play will improve over the next 2 games. Like, I don't see him falling off. I see him just getting better. So White Hat is really going to have to continue to be consistent. And Jorf, I think, he's going to start putting on a really good show here in these next game, or possibly 2 games. He's got to win this one because these are only best out of 3. So White Hat just needs to win one more time.
Yeah, I feel like this is where Jorf's going to show why he's Jorf. Like I said going in, he's the guy with the tournament experience, so to speak. So I think he's going to show us the real side of Jorf.
Yeah, I don't think he's rattled in the least. He actually took a loss in the first round of the Swiss as well, so he kind of had to play from behind, and he did a great job of that. So, all right, we're gonna see what's happening. It looks like these guys are about to ready up here for game number 2. Is it going to be White Hat? Is it going to be Jorf? Stage 1, here we go.
So I don't know too much about White Hat. How was his play during the Swiss rounds? Was he more of the kind of Mr. Consistent, or was he kind of maybe taking a more riskier play throughout his rounds?
Well, it was a little up and down. I think that he was pretty consistent, but he certainly didn't take too many risks. As you can see him getting the Shadow Clone in the slightly slower fashion, just so Jorf taking just a minor lead over him because of that. I think he tends towards more consistent play, and I'm not sure that he bothered to learn the quick kill, nor did Jorf, so I don't know if we're going to see Ashtar quick kills at all in this. And neither player getting the quick kill in stage 1, so things kind of status quo for now.
So I wonder if maybe White Hat's mentality changes. You know, he's up a game, and he's up a game against Jorf. So I wonder if maybe he's gonna try to take some more risks, thinking, hey, maybe Jorf is rattled a little bit. Maybe I might want to kind of get a really good time and just you know, finish it off.
Yeah, I mean, you got Jorf against the wall here, and White Hat taking a little bit of a fall there. So Jorf taking a bigger lead, but. Yeah, I think he may want to just kind of press his advantage at this point because, again, I don't know what his mindset was going into this, but not too many people would have favored White Hat over Jorf for all the reasons that we've said. I mean, just his vast experience, having the world record for a short time, being in mystery tournaments. I mean, you know, and White Hat's he's fairly new. So certainly the underdog, but as we've already seen, the underdog can win. We had Infested Rich knock off the mighty Endy Sui, who went undefeated. So anything can happen in this tournament.
Absolutely.
Jorf with a really nice 210, White Hat 209. So Jorf gaining. He's gaining little by little.
Look like White Hat's kill might have been slightly slower than Jorf's.
It's possible. I mean, these guys practice doing these faster kills even on the bosses that don't have a so to speak, quick kill. You know, you do want to cancel your animations sometimes in terms of your sword animations or your fire wheel animations by jumping or doing other movement so that you're not wasting extra frames. So it is possible to gain some frames, and Jorf maneuvering very nicely there through the darkness. Key to this is don't get hit at the very end because you can get knocked back here. Jorf getting through, and White Hat also getting through. So well done by both players on into 3-2.
I mean, as you see that both of them are really close. What do you think is going to be the difference maker? I mean, obviously anything can happen, but what do you think it's going to come down to if you have to guess?
Well, I'm seeing White Hat have some unusual movement. He did a standing slash there inadvertently, so he may be feeling a little bit of the pressure. I think, again, sometimes, you know, being ahead, it's like you have something to lose when you're ahead, and you see this in sports a lot. You know, you see teams that are ahead kind of like not pressing their advantage, but kind of taking it easy, and then you see the other team start to creep back into it and the comeback, and then the momentum shifts, and we could certainly see that happen here. Although Jorf did take a wrong damage boost there, so White Hat gaining a bit of time. All right, quick kill. Well done by Jorf.
Oh, White Hat missing it, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's going to cost him some more time. So Jorf is kind of slowly and steadily building his lead here.
All right, so this is 4-1, where Jorf had a little bit of struggle. We weren't able to see it, but he had a mistake where he lost his invincible fire wheel. So let's see if maybe that might be in his head, or maybe he just kind of goes through it and doesn't let that happen again.
Yeah, I think he's feeling ready this time. So here's the critical screen. And yeah, he's not going to be losing Invincible Fire Wheel this time, I don't think. I'm guessing what may have happened is he inadvertently got that orange throwing star, because your Invincible Fire Wheel runs out just before you get there, but if you're too fast, it is possible to get it. And you can see that he's cleared the stage. Both of the players up to 70 Ninpo now, as White Hat also clears. So they're good. They've gotten all their scrolls. They both have Invincible Fire Wheel, and health situations are fine for both. Now it's just maneuvering this difficult stage 4-2.
Yeah, I don't think we even saw Jorf practicing that, you know, in the short intermission, so I don't think he was too worried about it.
Yeah, and getting a nice backup boost there is Jorf. He missed what he was going for, but really his experience showing he quickly adapted. White Hat gaining just ever so slightly, though. And Jorf going to take Invincible Fire Wheel. White Hat also Invincible Fire Wheel, so I think we've seen that Jimmy is the only player that is actually going for Upfire in 4-2, the dangerous strat.
Well, that's why they call him Jimmy Risk.
Indeed it is. So White Hat gaining a couple seconds there. He managed a 203 to Jorf's 201 in that last stage. So he's keeping pace. I think he's kind of regrouped. He had some of those early missteps, but you know, now he's refocused, and it looks like he's playing a little bit better.
Yeah, just a couple seconds separating the two, so definitely going to be interesting coming into the later stages now.
Yeah, little things like which boost these guys get. You know, you can get 2 separate boosts through this clip, this wall clip that Jorf is about to perform. And Jorf not getting the optimal one, he kind of gets a weird one. White Hat getting a very nice one, so I think White Hat's going to get a better stage time here as well. Just maybe another second gained. But this is Jorf's favorite stage, so we know that he's going to do pretty well here with the ice physics.
Oh, White Hat's struggling a little bit there with the boosts.
Yeah, White Hat had a bit of an error, but nothing too major. Seems to recover all right. Jorf, of course, not making any mistakes. Oh, except that death he took. He was going for a really nice ladder grab there. Now, thankfully, that's not the most costly death. You can still finish Ashtar off. He's going to get Firewheel, and he is going to have enough Ninpo, and he should get a Ninja Clone. But White Hat is going to take a very slight lead here. So that is going to even things right out. If you're going to take a death, that's probably the one to take, though, I gotta say.
Jorf's just having these strange deaths. You know, I never would have seen any of these deaths coming into the top 8.
I mean, not in your favorite stage, Jorf. Come on, man. So White Hat goes ahead, gets the boss kill. Ashtar down for both players, and we're headed into Act 6. This is kind of where we picked up the action last time, and they were fairly close last time. I think White Hat had a bit of a lead here, but this time it's a lot tighter. Jorf certainly can come back. Maybe not until Act 7. This Act 6 is pretty straightforward, but we've seen some strange things happen.
Absolutely. I mean, going into the stage, they're only a second apart, so this is really close. Just one wrong D boost, and that's it. That's all it takes.
Yeah, we could see some lead switches here very, very easily. Both players managing their health pretty well. Seem to be okay. Again, you have to take a lot of damage in this next stage if you want to do the fastest strategies. There is an invincible Firewheel in this stage that's actually can be used if your health is low, but neither of these players is going to have to do that. They're both in good shape heading into the boss.
Both of them having no problems with the boss, and they're virtually tied. This
is pretty close. I would say maybe 1 second apart or less. So it's going to come down to the hardest stages in the game. That's the way you'd want it.
Yeah, not only is it going to be can you execute, but can you execute well and save those frames? And this is interesting. This is exciting when we get to see who really is performing better.
Yeah, who's going to have the better movement, who's going to have the better fundamentals, and I would have to say that I'd give Jorf a slight edge in that category, because of experience. He's played the game longer, and he knows a little bit more.
I feel like, though, just watching this, I feel like White Hat's the one that's more practiced, so I'm going to give him the edge, actually.
That could be true. Jorf did just gain a little bit of time there, though. He caught up. He did catch up some frames there. So it's going to come down to 7-2. Both of these guys very well practiced in this stage. Jorf, you saw, was practicing this stage a little bit just before the match started, because I guess maybe he wasn't feeling real good about it, but navigating the first screen very well, both of them. And this is going to come down to the wire. Alright, good damage boosting there by both, picking up the health.
Health is not an issue for any of them.
And White Hat having a bit of an error. Jorf takes the lead.
Oh.
So now it's up to Jorf. He's got a solid enough lead here that he should be able to take this. He gets the last D-boost, forgoes the health. White Hat gets the health.
Oh, that could be a difference maker.
It's going to come down to this boss rush here. Remember, the only luck factor in this game is against the final boss, the shrimp that he shoots out. That is kind of random, so usually it doesn't play too much of a factor, but it can make a second or two difference sometimes. Jorf doing really well here. He's got plenty of Ninpo. White Hat is short on Ninpo, so I think that Jorf has a pretty big advantage here, because he's going to have 2 extra fire wheels to use, and that's 6 free damage on the boss, and looks like Jorf is going to close it out just barely, and he's going to push this thing to a game 3 as White Hat having some struggles. So well done by Jorf. Looks like he got about a 10:34, and White Hat not even that far behind, maybe 6 seconds behind. Wow. Okay, man. And then you almost can't even recover, because we have Jimmy versus Backslash already in progress. And from what I understand, that is also a very close race. So we're going to switch over to that. The fast action continues here in the Ninja Gaiden 2 top 8. And we can see these guys are very close, both of them in 6-1.
Yeah, it seems like just a couple seconds separating the two.
Jimmy with the slight lead again. So Jimmy looking for the clean sweep here. He wants to take Backslash out and just get this thing over with because he knows how dangerous Backslash is. So if he can take this thing in 2 games, I'm sure he'd be glad to do so. Meanwhile, we are going to have a game 3 of Jorf and White Hat following this, so be sure to stay tuned and make sure you follow all of our runners. I mean, if you haven't been impressed so far, I don't know what to tell you. These have been some amazing races. Backslash and Jimmy Poopins, follow both of these guys. 2 great players in Ninja Gaiden 2.
Been having strong kills in stage 6, so here it is. Stage 7.
Yep.
Could be the difference maker.
Their favorite stage. They both love this stage. Is this stage going to love them is the question. Jimmy threw that first dangerous screen. Backslash looking good.
I'd be very surprised. I never would have thought this would not go 3 games.
Yeah, I mean, both of these players are just so strong, but I mean, expect the unexpected has kind of been the motto of the day. Like, so much crazy stuff has happened in this tournament so far.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey,
And
Jimmy's performing well. I mean, I feel like this is his game to lose right now. Like,
yeah, this looks like he's on his A game for sure. But Backslash he's not out of it. He's not out of it yet. I mean, if Jimmy were to get knocked back or something were to happen, Backslash can regain some of that time. Strange things can happen in the boss rush. Of course, a death could happen.
a death at this point is just, it's over for one of them.
Yeah, neither player can afford to take a death and think that they're going to come back unless the other one did. Jimmy going for that dangerous double bird boost and getting it, so that's actually going to gain him a second because Backslash is not going for it, so Jimmy increases his lead, and he's got a hammer lock on this game now. If he gets this last damage boost, he does. Struggling a little bit to get the health there, but he is still well ahead going into the boss rush.
Backslash didn't go for the health. I guess he knows he's probably behind at this point.
I think he may have had that strategy going in, just assuming that Jimmy was going to be ahead a lot of the time. And his health situation is good, so Jimmy on into the second form. No problems with Jackie-O. No problems with the head. And Jimmy is just 16 hits away from taking down this first quarterfinal match. And there it is, Jimmy Risk finishing off the heart. He's going to take it 2-0 over Backslash, who was just behind him. And you got to feel so bad for Backslash. I mean, look at that. Backslash getting a 224 or 25, it looked like. And it's not good enough to win. I mean, what more can you ask from the guy? It's just, it was an unfortunate pairing. And if either of these guys had had a different outcome in one game in the Swiss, they would not have faced off until the finals, I believe. They would have been separated in the bracket. So great job by Jimmy, though.
Backslash was 2 seconds off of his PB, and he still lost.
Yeah,
that's insane.
And it's funny because you know what Jimmy said after he beat him in the Swiss? He said, my strategy against Backslash, and I quote, is to just beat his PB. And that's exactly what he did. He beat his PB, and he said, you know what? You want to beat me, Backslash? You're going to have to get a personal best right now. So Backslash unable to do that, but just putting on a great show. And I know if we have another tournament, Backslash will certainly be back. He'll certainly be playing with his usual consistent game and probably in the top 8 again. So great job by him. And we still have one more game left in the quarterfinals. We are having Jorf and White Hat, the finale, game 3. Who's got the advantage, Darkman?
I mean, Jorf looked like he was getting better and better as the round 2 kind of, progressed. So I'm gonna say Jorf is probably gonna take this one.
I think that you could very well be right, but I really just, I don't know. I don't want to count White Hat out because I think that's when he does his best, is when people are counting him out, you know? Like, Jorf wins round 2, and then everybody's like, oh, yeah, Jorf's got it. And I think that's when, like, White Hat really steps up his game. So it might even be better that this one went to game 3 for White Hat. That might actually give him a little bit more of an advantage, I want to say. So, so it looks like we're going to have game 3, and the winner of this match will be facing off with Gyarados 21, who actually swept Arceus, and Jimmy will be taking on Infested Rich. And those are going to be the semifinal matchups. So, as you can see, Jorf practicing, he's making sure that he feels good about his gameplay. White Hat, on the other hand, he just kind of lets things go. You know, he's like, I'm just chilling. I'm waiting until we actually get this race on. Let's do it for real.
Yeah, I mean, for me at least, I know it's fairly important for me to kind of like take just those little breaks in between, you know, doing new runs and whatnot. Because if you keep, like for me at least, if you keep chaining runs, it kind of puts a mental toll on you. So I think that might be White Hat's strategy too. Kind of take that few quick seconds of a mental reset.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful. I know if I was in the tournament, I would probably need a little time in between matches. So, but you know, it's going to be interesting to see is too much time bad. Like Gyarados, he played insanely well in his match against Arceus, but you know, he's been on break. That was one of the first matches that ended. So he's been on break for a long time before he's going to start his semifinal match. And the same thing for Rich. Infested Rich is kind of having to sit here, and he just saw the clinic that Jimmy put on, and Rich is like, oh my god, I have to go against this guy? Seriously?
Yeah, when you pull off those 2 race times that Jimmy pulled off, I'd be scared if I was anybody.
Yeah, it's pretty frightening. It's pretty frightening to see. So as soon as these guys are ready, they're going to go with game 3. These games are all being raced on SRL, so we are keeping a record of them. Speedrunslive.com, if you're not familiar with the website, is a great site for racing video games. Doesn't always have to be this super serious. You can just race casually, race with your friends. Lots of people on there. Speedrunslive.com. Check it out. Most of the tournaments that are going on being played on that site. It looks like we're off. We've got ourselves a game 3.
All right, so what do you think, Sinister? Do you think Jorf's mindset changes at all? Because he's kind of the veteran, right? He's familiar with this scenario. He knows, you know, it's a game 3, all or nothing. Do you think he kind of goes on a different mindset, or do you think he kind of knows what he has to do?
I think the pressure is a little bit more on him because he's expected to win, and I don't know how that's going to end up affecting him. But again, you know, it comes back to having that tournament experience, like we've said, you know, so many times, that he's just probably used to this situation. I don't know White Hat's experience. I don't know what other stuff he's done, but he does strike me as a competitive individual. I feel like he may have had some kind of competitive background. Maybe he played like competitive sports as a kid or something. But I don't think he's too shook up. Jorf getting a quick kill there, so he is taking the advantage right off the bat.
Showing you why he's so experienced at this game. His experience is making a difference so far.
Yeah, that quick kill is important. I mean, that's going to separate by about a second, or maybe a little bit more. So kind of the calm before the storm. 2-1 again, just, you know, easy stage. Just make your jumps and your slashes. You should be good to go. Get your 218, and then that's when the real difficulty starts, is in 2-2. And here we go, Jorf is first.
Alright, coming up to the Jorf taking a hit there.
Can he recover is the question. White Hat taking the death. Oh no, it looks like White Hat was going, he was trying to, he felt like his jump wasn't going to make it, and he tried to adjust back to the small platform, and he just couldn't make it. But Jorf struggling there as well, so Jorf is going to have to take it kind of slow on this screen. Both players may be feeling the pressure right now.
Ooh, this is, I don't even, what happens here now? Jorf couldn't get the boost.
Can he survive? Okay, Jorf survives. So he's going to have a lead. White Hat also struggling on the second screen. I think both of these guys got to be feeling the pressure of game 3 right now.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I can imagine. So Jorf is through. He is through the danger zone, on into Act 3. White Hat, he's going to have to clear this stage, and he recovered reasonably, but he had a really bad stage there, a 204. That's going to put him severely behind. So he's going to be looking for Jorf to have a death or something pretty bad if he's going to catch up from here. Jorf with a solid lead.
Yeah, I wonder if that affects both of their competitors' mindsets. I mean, if Jorf's not listening to the stream, he doesn't know that he's ahead. I'm sure he probably thinks he's behind right now, so I kind of wonder what's going through his head right now.
Yeah, I mean, that's something we didn't really have the opportunity to ask the players, and White Hat are getting into trouble there. Almost taking a death from that bat, but recovering nicely, so really, really dangerous situations everywhere in Ninja Gaiden 2. This game is just filled with places that you can die. Alright, Jorf maneuvering very well. He gets through the trouble screen in 3-2. Inadvertent Ninpo use there. He's actually, I think if he wants, he could play it safe and get another Ninpo, but if he's really confident in his quick kill, I think he doesn't have to. So he actually doesn't get the Ninpo. If he misses the quick kill, he could be in trouble here, though. But being the pro that he is, he nails it, and pushing his lead even further ahead. Now the pressure is on White Hat. White Hat needs to get the quick kill just to maintain pace.
Oh, missed the D-boost there.
Missed the D-boost, but a good recovery. So White Hat is showing that, he's got pretty good backup strats, and he doesn't get the quick kill, unfortunately, so that's going to cost him a little bit more time, maybe another second. Jorf coming up to another dangerous screen here, 4-1. A lot of very small ledges here. Visually deceptive. He misses the initial scroll. There is a backup scroll, so he's going to lose a little bit of time here, as he has to get this backup scroll by jumping. Does manage to get it, and if he can clear these platforms, he's going to be on into 4-2, and he is. White Hat, meanwhile, gaining that little bit of time because he did get the initial scroll, so that's 1 second that he's got on Jorf.
I'm sure White Hat at this point, he must know that he's behind, especially with the death early on, and he's probably going to be going all out at this point.
Yeah, I would expect so. Or, another strategy is that you could play a little bit more conservatively and just hoping that your opponent dies, because if you have such a major gap between you, you know that the only way that you can come back is actually to have your opponent die and you not die. So, depending on the mindset, but we'll see. Jorf on into the boss here. Really nice 4-3. He got a 205. That is a great time for that stage, and he has got to be feeling good.
Yeah, he's recovered very well since the early mistake in 2-2, so he's looking very strong right now.
White Hat also having a pretty good stage, 204. Very respectable time. And Jorf on into Act 5.
A little bit of a slow clip there, but still managing to get it, no problem.
Yeah, this is the clip that's really crucial. We saw earlier, I think somebody had missed it and they had to go back around, but Jorf getting the very good clip. Not this time. So he's going to have a solid time there. And on into his favorite stage, 5-2. I'm not sure if it's his favorite stage after he took that death last time. He might be rethinking things.
That's one of those deaths, though, that he had. You just kind of have to laugh that one off.
Yeah, and I think he did, because he recovered brilliantly and he still managed to pull it out. And, here he is. He's at that exact spot, and this time he does manage to grab the ladder.
All right.
So, well done, Jorf. He survives. Even if he had died, I don't know that it would have been enough for White Hat to catch up. Jorf's got a pretty solid lead.
Yeah, it seems like the mistakes Jorf is making are not the kind of big time loss mistakes. They're just the little ones. Even his deaths, kind of like the most forgiving places in the stages that he's dying in. So.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of, again, I mentioned Dexter's Lab, because he would always, when we were racing Ninja Gaiden, he would always have like the least costly deaths. it would be like a 5-second death or a 7-second death, of which there's very few in Ninja Gaiden. Like it almost made me wonder if he was just doing it on purpose to be like, I can have a death and still beat you. So Jorf advancing, he is on into Act 6, and so is White Hat. But again, it's something tragic is going to happen in Act 7 in order for White Hat to make up enough time at this point.
Well, I mean, it's like we said, Jorf did die in 7-2, I believe, last time, so you never know.
Well, Jorf is looking pretty de-rusted here. Taking a hit there, but I think he's still okay to use the more dangerous strategy. And he is going to do that. He's not picking up the invincible fire wheel, so he should be fine, but he may be... he's going to be at 2 HP on the boss, so he's got to be cautious not to take a hit. And he is in position to do so. If he were to misfire on his fire wheels here, he would get hit. But oh no, he was just out of range. Just out of range there.
Alright, it's all down to 7-1 and 7-2.
It's kind of been the story of the day so far. I don't think we've had very many blowouts. It's been close race after close race.
Yeah, I don't think a single race has been more than 20 seconds difference. Jorf missing the ladder grab there.
Yeah, that's going to cost him a little bit of time, couple seconds, but still White Hat, I think he still needs a death from Jorf. Jorf, he's got to be thinking about that spot he was in last time. This is where he died, on the ladder. He avoids that easily this time. And
misses
he's
the ladder, but
7-2.
it's not too big of a deal to miss the ladder there.
Alright, 7-2. This stage is all about just precise damage boosting. Jorf missing a fire wheel there, but recovering nicely. Jorf has really showed his experience well in these matches. He's had a lot of mistakes that would have, I think, cost lesser runners, but he has recovered brilliantly from every single one.
Yeah, it's when you speedrun a game for as long as Jorf did in Ninja Gaiden 2, you don't lose those memories. Those memories kind of stay with you. It stays embedded in your muscle memory. So Jorf's just kind of showing that, maybe he's not the guy that really needs to practice as much because he remembers all this stuff. His muscles automatically remember and he can execute.
Yeah, I think he figured that he would just use game 1 as kind of a de-rust, and then by game 2 he'd be playing his A game. So that's kind of where we're at as he's headed into the boss rush. Opts not to take the health, but he looks to be in good shape regardless. And he's just got to take out these 3 bosses, and he'll be advancing to the semifinals. Oh, a little bit of a struggle there on Jackio, though. So Jorf, he got himself into a perilous health situation last time against the boss. But that was in the game that he was losing anyway. This time he's ahead, so if you do die on one of the bosses, you are sent back to the beginning of 7-1, so that's pretty much game over. Or sorry, 7-2 rather.
White Hat did have to go for the backup health, but Jorf should be taking this.
Yeah, he's got plenty of HP. And there it is, Jorf taking it 2-1. So Canada staying alive in the tournament. He's the only Canadian player. We have some Americans, Canadians, and Swedes, and Italians. We have a very, very diverse group of players in this tournament, which is something I really like.
Yeah, I mean, Jorf is showing why he's the former world record holder in Ninja Gaiden 2. He's showing his experience. He's showing that he knows what to do if something goes wrong. I mean, you saw he made just a few mistakes throughout 7-1 and 7-2, but he didn't panic. He just knew what to do. So definitely seems to be growing in confidence as the matches progress.
Yeah, certainly. So we have our semifinal matches set, and I believe we are going to go Infested Rich versus Jimmy Poopins first, and then I think we're going to switch it off to Gardas and Jorf, if I'm not mistaken. I believe that is the plan. So we're gonna go on a little bit of a break here. We can talk about these matches just a little bit, and then I think the commentators, we also need to have a very small break before the next round starts. So let's talk about Infested Rich versus Jimmy. What do you see going on there?
I mean, I don't know. Obviously everybody's immediately going to look at the times that Jimmy put up in this quarterfinal and say, "Oh, he's going to smoke Rich." But no, I mean, everybody thought, or not maybe everybody, but many people thought Endy was going to easily advance past Rich, and Rich pulled off the upset. So you know what? Do not sleep on Rich. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I think it would be a mistake to count Rich out. We kind of saw that anybody can make mistakes. Endy, who was a clear favorite, he had a lot of deaths. Things can kind of snowball out of control. That can happen to Jimmy too. He's not immune from that. He had times that were over 11 minutes during the course of the tournament. So you really never know what's going to happen. But I think overall, Rich is he's going to have to play well, and Jimmy's going to have to make mistakes. That's the bottom line. If Jimmy can play his A game, then he was looking pretty unstoppable. So we're gonna have to see. We're gonna have to see how that goes.
Yeah, I mean, if Jimmy plays how he did against Backslash, he's not going to lose. There's just no way. Like, he's playing way too well.
Yeah, I think he's definitely on his A game. So our other matchup, we have Gyarados versus Jorf. So Jorf just finishing up there, and you saw that he was playing very, very well. But Gyarados, 21, he showed me something in the quarterfinals. I mean, he got some really good times and beat a very, very strong player in Arcus 87. So this matchup, I think, is going to be a really close one. What do you think?
Absolutely. I mean, Jorf seems to be improving as the rounds progress, and Gyarados just looked. He was almost as strong as Jimmy, like really close. Like, we'll put him just below Jimmy in terms of strength that round. So this is going to be a very intense match. If I had to pick one, I'd probably pick Gyarados just because of how strong he was, but obviously you can't sleep on Jorf.
Yeah, no question about it. Either of these players could take this, and this is to get to the finals. I mean, this is it's getting serious now. We're down to 4 players, and we've got a pretty diverse group here. We've got the 8 seed that barely made it in to the top 8 to begin with, and then we've got 2 people that either hold or have held the world record in the past, and then we have like a guy that's completely new to the scene and barely even played the game in Gyarados. So really diverse group of players, and they're all very, very skillful. And I think we're just going to have more close races as we progress. So I think we are going to take just a very short break, the commentators, and then we'll be back before the next set of matches get started. And we'll see you guys in a few. And we are back. So after that short break, we're looking at Infested Rich on the left side of your screen representing Sweden. And then we have Jimmy Poopins, of course, the world record holder from the United States of America. These guys are about to play their semifinal match, best of 3, and it should be an exciting one. Rich, certainly the underdog. He's got nothing to lose. Meanwhile, Jimmy, he's kind of defending his honor in a way, you know?
Yeah, I guess he's, he is the world record holder, so it's kind of like, I've proven over the course of all the time he spent RTAing that he's the best player in RTA at least. And now he's like, well, now I'm going to show you guys that I'm the best racer as well. So, yeah, definitely has something to prove, it seems like.
Yeah, I think he's definitely got to do that. And if these guys are ready, hopefully we're going to get started with this first semifinal match. We're going to try to show you the entire semifinal match. I'm not sure that we're staggering these. We're discussing this right now. I think some of the players are, okay. They know that they're waiting. So because Jorf just finished his match, so yeah, we are going to go. And it looks like I'm not sure if Jimmy's just practicing or if we're actually started.
No, we haven't.
We might need to get the streams synced up. No, not yet. Okay.
Gonna be starting just shortly.
Yeah, so Rich, I mean, he's kind of just got to figure out what is it that he has to do to be able to pull the upset. He already upset the number 1 seed, Andy Swee. Andy had not lost a single match, and Rich coming out of nowhere and beating him. How can he do the same thing to Jimmy? I mean, it's just, it's almost impossible to think of.
It's almost impossible to think about it with Andy, right? So
it is.
He's got to play his game.
That's a good point. So Rich gonna have to play his game, and we're off. So stage 1, these guys just got to get some simple tasks taken care of here. I think it's going to be interesting to see who's going to get the quick kill. I know that Jimmy is going to go for everything. He's not scared, and Rich he's going to go for it, but is he going to get it is the question.
Sure. I mean, it'd be interesting to see with Jimmy. I wonder if maybe his strategy changes, because you know what? He knew he was going up against Backslash in the quarters, and he knew he had to play his A game. Backslash was not the kind of opponent where you can just kind of sneak by. But maybe with Rich plays his best. Maybe he gets like a 10-45. Jimmy doesn't need to play his like A+ game to beat that. So I wonder if maybe his strategy changes because of that.
Well, both of them getting the quick kill, so Rich is certainly got to be feeling good about how he's playing because, again, he's not as practiced in this game. He's not quite as polished in this game. So that's a real big confidence booster. You get something like that, like you're like, okay, I'm in this race.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure for Rich at this point, it's just like, you know what? I did great. I beat Andy. Like, he's got to be feeling really confident, and now he's just... I don't think he has anything to lose at this point. Like, I feel like he's proven himself, and it's just like, you know what? Maybe I can beat Jimmy. I'm just gonna do what I can and see what happens. Yeah, well,
that can work both ways because you don't want to like rest on your laurels and be like, well, at least I got out of the quarters, and nobody expected me to do that. Like you got to keep pressing it. You got to be like, hey, I'm going all the way here. This is going to be my tournament to take down here.
Definitely. I mean, it's 3 games. Anything can happen.
So apparently I'm seeing in the chat here that there is a new secret strat that Jimmy has that he is going to unleash on us, possibly. So I guess we're going to have to keep an eye out for that. Or maybe we're just being teased. I'm not sure, but let's see. Should be interesting. Infested having a little bit of a struggle there, but he does manage to get up the ladder. That is not a death you can afford to take, especially in the top 8. Jimmy running out of Ninpo, though, so he's actually... He's actually going to fall behind. I think he may have had a jump. Okay, apparently he already did it. Okay, I guess it was on the Act 1 boss, apparently. But we're going to have to catch that in the next game. There is going to be at least 2 games, because this is a best out of 3. And right now, Rich has got a surprising lead. I mean... I was not expecting Rich to be ahead by this point of the race, but here he is. in the lead, going into 3-2.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been the story with Rich so far. You know, it's been unexpected, but you know what? Rich is just playing his game. He's just going about his business, doing what he has to do, and hey, so far that's good enough. So
yeah, he's handling his business all right, and coming into this dangerous screen of 3-2. But the quick kill has been a little tough. I'm not sure that Rich has been hitting the quick kill on the third boss as consistently. We know that Jimmy gets it virtually every time. I mean, I can't even remember the last time I saw Jimmy miss it. So that's going to be a key thing here. And Jimmy missing the fire wheel has to backtrack a little bit there. So Rich building his lead even further.
uh-oh. I don't know, maybe it's just a bit of overconfidence from Jimmy. You know, he had a great 2 rounds.
Well, if he gets the quick kill, he can gain a little bit of that time back, but he doesn't get it.
Wow.
What is happening right now?
This is insane. He's looked like a completely different player than the first 2 rounds.
I mean, I'm kind of awestruck right now. Rich playing very well. Didn't manage to get the quick kill, but his fundamentals have been solid. You know, he hasn't been taking inadvertent damage. He hasn't been falling down. Obviously hasn't taken any deaths. This is going to be a key screen for him because it's such a dangerous screen. He does get the first scroll, which is optimal. That's going to make sure that he doesn't lose time. Jimmy missing the first scroll, so Jimmy potentially losing even a little bit more time in this stage.
Where was this in quarterfinals? We didn't see any of this.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But Rich has to keep it together, though, because, you know, one misstep in Ninja Gaiden 2 and you are dead. And then when you are dead, you are probably losing at least 20 seconds. That is not a luxury Rich can afford in a matchup against someone as good as Jimmy. So getting the bird boost, getting up top, well done by Rich. Jimmy approaching the same screen here.
Got a bad ladder. He just went on top of the ladder and had to really climb it down slowly. Just little things from Jimmy right now.
Little things, and Rich gonna take the safe strat here. Jimmy has got to be feeling the heat, and he is coming up to that part where you can die with the fire wheel. Is he gonna make it? Okay, close call. Jimmy has survived, but Rich into the boss. Rich taking down the boss, and Jimmy is not too far out of it, but this is a shocker right now. I mean, Rich being ahead going into Act 6, and Jimmy hasn't taken a death, or sorry, Act 5, nobody would have called that one.
No, I mean, this is, I'm sure Jimmy was going to make a mistake. Oh, no.
Rich with the death, no. That's a tough one to recover from, but he's not out of it. Luckily, he can recover. Jimmy is going to take the lead, though. Rich could not afford to take a death. That was the one thing he had to avoid. And now Jimmy with a strong lead and the potential to get the Ashtar quick kill coming up here. Rich having to take things a little bit slow because he can't use his invincible fire wheel. There's hardly any ninpo in this stage, so you can't activate. And he's having to slow down even a little bit more. Ends up not even going for the clip through the wall. And I think Jimmy is just, he's too strong. Is Jimmy going to take a death now becomes the question, because we've seen it happen.
Yeah. I mean, that's going to be the difference maker. If Jimmy takes a death, then Rich can catch up, but I mean, for all the mistakes Jimmy's had, he hasn't taken a death yet, so...
Not yet. Not today. Meanwhile, Rich getting hit by that bird there. Gotta be a little careful. So if Jimmy gets the quick kill, I mean, that may even afford him a death and still be ahead. He does not get the quick kill. So that is 5 seconds that he is not going to gain. And it looks like something bad happened over there on Rich's side. Rich, things are starting to snowball out of control. Rich could not afford these mistakes. Well, he's still going to be able to take out Ashtar. He's going to get a clone right here at the very end of the stage. But Jimmy with a heavy lead now.
Yeah, I mean, all Jimmy has to do is just finish up. Can afford a few mistakes at this point because it's such a huge lead.
Oh yeah, he could even take a death. He could take a death in 7-1 or 7-2 and still be okay. Well, I think what we've learned from this match so far is that Rich can win. It is possible. He's just going to need to perform a little bit better in the next game. And I hate to write this one off because it's not over yet, but if Jimmy doesn't die on this boss right here, right now, then I think this one is pretty much in the bag for him, and he does take down the boss, so he's out of danger. Full health refill between stages, of course. Or between acts, rather.
Seems to be kind of getting a little bit more comfortable, Jimmy, is after the kind of early mishaps. So, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't see him making a mistake here, but...
Yeah, I mean, his consistency has just been through the roof this entire tournament. You know, he had the second best average time over the course of the Swiss, and he only improved upon that so far in his rematch with Backslash, which he won to advance. And, you know, Rich has played well, but just not quite to the top level that you need when you're facing off against competition like Jimmy.
Yeah. I mean, Rich had his chance. I mean, without the death, it would have been neck and neck probably. So
yeah, I think, and he had 2 deaths actually. He had another one in Act 5, but it looks like Jimmy is in great shape here. He's got what may as well be infinite health at this point. This is kind of a dangerous screen. He could take a death here. He does this double bird boost that's, you know, really not necessary and saves a second. I doubt he'll forgo it because he probably doesn't even remember like the consistent strat. And he is getting knocked around a little bit, but he manages to recover. So even though Rich is here in 7-2, so really what Rich needs right now is the unthinkable. Jimmy would have to die against one of the bosses, which would send him back to the beginning of 7-2, and then Rich could still win. That's really where we're at right now.
yeah. I mean, Jimmy didn't get the backup health, but his health is in pretty good shape. So
yeah, he's got plenty here. He is a little short on Ninpo more than usual, but still not terrible. He has 1 less than normal, which is fine. So comes down to this: if Jimmy can stay alive, he's gonna go up a game on Infested Rich in the semifinals. And he does indeed close it out. So well done by Jimmy. Another stellar
Very well
time. Looked like maybe a 10:34 or something like that. So the consistency has been there, but it's been there for a lot of our other players as well. And you know, Rich has managed to recover pretty well. That's kind of been his story so far. You know, we saw him come back against Endy. We saw him come back in the beginning of the tournament. So it's not unthinkable that he could come back and take 2 games off Jimmy.
not at all. I mean, even with the early mistakes, Jimmy still had a 1035. Like that's good. That's what, better than Rich's PB. So
Well, yes. Currently, yes. I hate to say it, but yeah, that, you know, Jimmy sticking with the strategy of who am I playing? Okay, I just have to beat their PB, no problem. Yeah, that's kind of where it is. So, you know, Rich, I don't know that he was on PB pace, even when he was ahead going into Act 5. I doubt that he was on PB pace, so I think we would have seen Jimmy end up coming back regardless. But still, Rich is in there. You know, maybe he's just he's kind of setting this up again like he did against Endy. He's just trying to make it more exciting for us.
that's it. Rich is the crowd pleaser. Now I understand.
Yes, he is the Cinderella and the crowd pleaser. Meanwhile, Jimmy, much like Jorf, getting in a little bit of practice in between rounds. You know, he's not taking it easy. He's I mean, we see that he got a 1035 there, and that was a really great run, but he is not feeling good about that run. I'll guarantee you that Jimmy is probably like, I can't believe I messed that up. I can't believe I missed this. You know, he's tough on himself. So, you know, he was just getting a little more practice in there. But these guys are going to rematch. These guys are going to go at it again. The action is fast and furious in our Ninja Gaiden 2 top 8. That's the way that we like it.
That's right.
So we're going to keep on trucking here. Going straight into game 2 as soon as these guys are ready.
what do you think is Rich's mindset now? You know, he's down a game. Jimmy has shown that, I mean, he may not know, but Jimmy made some mistakes. He still had a time that's better than Rich's PB. So, I mean, what is he thinking now? What does he have to do to win?
My hope is that Rich does not know that he was ahead, because that would just be a crushing blow. Like, if he knew that he was ahead and that he let that one slip away, like, that was kind of like his big chance, at least from our perspective. So I really hope that Rich is not paying attention at all, and that he's just kind of like, all right, whatever. Let me just play my game again. I got to get a deathless this time. That's got to be his focus. Just, get a deathless, do what you can do, and, hope Jimmy has a death.
Yeah, I think that sounds about right. I mean, it's a tall order to expect a death out of Jimmy, but anything is possible.
I mean, it happened multiple times in the Swiss, Don't forget, Jimmy is not invincible. He lost 2 times in the Swiss. He was 4-2 to make it into top 8. Rich was also 4-2. They had the same record going into the top 8.
That's true. I mean, you're right. Jimmy did die, and it's like we said at the beginning. Jimmy is the risk taker. He's the one going for the strats that not most would go for. So something could definitely go wrong taking one of those riskier plays.
It could, and it has, and that's what Rich is going to need. And it looks like these guys are ready. We're off in game 2 of this semifinal matchup between Infested Rich and Jimmy Poopins. Jimmy with the 1-0 lead.
All right, so are we going to get a chance to see the secret quick kill by Jimmy?
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. It probably saves like 3 frames or something, and that's why we missed it last time. But yeah, let's keep an eye on Jimmy's screen. He is on the right, and he does manage to gain a little bit of time initially because he's doing a slightly faster strategy to get his ninja clone. Both get about the same ladder grab, so here comes the boss, Jimmy, with his secret strat. Oh, very interesting. Okay, so he actually did things kind of in a different order there, but both of them getting the quick kill. So I don't know if that actually gained him a bunch of time. I'm seeing in chat it says about 20 frames saved. But that adds up, certainly adds up. So really nice strategy there by Jimmy, using the sword canceling and ninpo canceling and moonwalking that you can do in this game. So when you use your ninja arts, you can actually move forward or backwards, and in that particular fight you want to move backwards. We call that moonwalking. So you do that to kind of increase the distance between yourself and the boss, and then sword slashing and then jumping will cancel your slash, and you could kind of see Jimmy doing that towards the end of the fight. Very technical stuff from Jimmy. You'd expect nothing less. He's been finding strategy after strategy in this game, but can he survive this deadly screen in 2-2?
A little slow there on the climb, but still a tight jump, managing to pull it off no problem.
Yes, both of them are through. No deaths yet. They both have to be feeling good, although Rich getting knocked back there. This could affect him because now he's on a slightly different time on the win cycle. He might not make this boost. He barely makes it. So Rich really pulling a close one there. Jimmy gaining even more time. He gets a 210. Rich going to be behind. He's going to get a 207. Jimmy not messing up the quick kill this time. He did not run out of ninpo, and neither did Rich. So both of them still, overall doing pretty well.
Yep, just a few seconds separated by the two.
And despite how difficult this stage may look, actually one of the easier stages. The main thing is you just want to avoid getting hit and getting knocked back, and a lot of times even if you get knocked back in this stage, it's often not into a pit. You just get knocked back and don't die. The key is these last flames at the end, and this last enemy, Jimmy able to navigate that pretty easily. Let's see about Rich.
I know both of these two competitors are experienced in Ninja Gaiden 2, but like maybe for a newer competitor, like if they maybe get boosted the wrong way and then they don't see the flashes anymore, does that kind of play a big role in 3-1?
I think it depends on how they approach the level. If they know the landmarks, the visual cues which to use, like where the platforms are in the dark, because the back of the stage is actually lit, so the foreground of the stage is not lit. But if you look at the back of the stage, you can see some landmarks to let you know where things are. So as long as they know those, they should be okay. And we see Jimmy again accidentally using those fire wheels as he tries to sword climb. So this is going to affect his ability to get the quick kill on the boss. I think he's short in info, and he struggles with the damage boost. Rich has an opportunity here.
Oh, Rich unfortunately falling down after he got the boost.
Oh no. So Jimmy with a super slow kill, but Rich, because of missing the boost, or falling down rather, wasn't able to gain the time back. That's really unfortunate. And he also messes up the boss fight, so he's gonna have to sword slash. Another missed opportunity for Rich. You hate to see it.
That was his chance to come back. He would have been maybe a second or two behind if he didn't fall down there. It's very unfortunate.
Yeah, and that's a tough spot because those ledges, they may look big, like you've got plenty of space on them, but they're really, really tiny. And it's very easy to fall off them, particularly after the damage boost that he did. So it's not uncommon to see people fall there. It's just the first time we've seen it today, unfortunately.
I know Jimmy talked about this in a stream, but I know like throughout the Ninja Gaidens, like the platforms definitely have different like edge lengths. Do you think that kind of plays a role for somebody like Rich who plays all three of them?
Yeah, I think it can. I mean, I know it did for me. I do Ninja Gaiden 1 and 2. He does 1, 2, and 3. So, you know, the physics, the hitboxes, the edge lengths, everything's very different in all three games. So I think it's hard to be consistent in all three. And I mean, he does a great job of it with his trilogy runs, but he himself says that Ninja Gaiden 2 is his worst out of the three. He's least proficient in this game. But he's still very good, otherwise he wouldn't be here playing against Jimmy right now. But he's in a tough spot. He misses the bird boost, and he's really getting himself into trouble. Not taking a death, thankfully, but picking up a wrong sub-weapon. Rich is really, really struggling. Jimmy, meanwhile, not dying. So Jimmy is just gaining more and more time, and Rich trying to get this damage boost up there and finally getting it.
What is he going to do now that he has 1 health?
There is a health coming up right here, and he should be able to pick it up. He does. So thankfully he's okay. He should get that fire wheel, and hopefully he can get through this stage without another death, because if he has another death, I think this one would be all but over.
As it is, Jimmy has quite a significant lead right now.
Yeah, and I think we're just kind of starting to see that, you know, the Rich not putting as much practice in as maybe some of the other competitors is finally coming back to bite him.
And not only that, it's just the fact that he's sick right now. I'm sure that's has a big role in how he's doing right now.
Definitely. These guys have been having to play all day. I mean, you know, we started several hours ago, so, and, you know, they've been playing throughout. He did have to play 3 games. Jimmy only had to play 2. He went 2-0 against Backslash, so Rich maybe slightly more fatigued as well, in addition to being sick. So Jimmy with the opportunity to all but put this one away. If he can get the quick kill on Ashtar here, that would gain him another 5 seconds and probably afford him a death, if not multiple deaths. Let's see if he can pull it off again.
Even at this point, I feel like he still can take a death.
Oh, quick kill again. Jimmy is on fire right now. He is just devastating this game.
And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, nobody else in the tournament has pulled that off yet.
Not in the tournament, no. I believe Arcus did get it once in the Swiss rounds, but in the top 8, we have only seen Jimmy get it. And the people that were the most consistent at it are out of the tournament. Endy Sui and Arcus87 were both pretty consistent at getting the quick kill, but they've been eliminated, so it's really just Jimmy now that's going to be doing that quick kill the rest of the way, and that gives him a huge advantage.
Absolutely. He's got to feel really confident knowing that, you know, the rest of the competitors are just not very good at that quick kill. I mean, that's 4 or 5 seconds right there. When you, in a game like Ninja Gaiden where the time is going to be 10 minutes, 4 or 5 seconds is absolutely huge. So that's got to be a really good confidence booster.
It's huge. And we've seen races that have gotten decided by margins that were about that small. So, you know, yeah, that can be a decider. Now, you know, he's not going to hit it every single time. And clearly he didn't. Oh, he's taking a death here against. Oh no, he barely escapes taking a death against the Kelberos dogs there, down to 1 health. He could even afford that death, is the funny thing, but that would have put things a lot closer if he had taken it. So on to 7-1.
It's a good thing he had that 3 health. I mean, I know sometimes in 6-2 they can, take an extra hit by accident and have like 2 or 1 health going to that boss, so very fortunate.
You're absolutely right, and he was fortunate to be in that situation because he would probably have maybe still a 10-second lead on Rich, or maybe 20 seconds. So yeah, he can afford the one thing that Jimmy cannot afford to do is to die in the final boss rush. At this point, he should really just be getting both health pickups in 7-2, and he should be able to lock up his spot in the finals.
So far, everything going well for Jimmy. His health looks fine.
Rich not slowing down, though, so, if Jimmy does take that death, Rich is going to be in a position to capitalize, as long as he doesn't have another death, although he does struggle a little bit there in 7-1. But, like I said, Jimmy takes a death on the boss, then he's sent back to the very beginning of 7-2, and that would be just enough, because we see Rich is now entering 7-2.
Jimmy with slightly lower health, I guess, coming in. Didn't decide to take the backup health.
This is Jimmy Risk right here. This is Jimmy Risk. He is down to what looks like about 6 health. Is that 5 or 6?
That's 5 right now.
That's 5. Okay, so if he takes a hit from one of these drops, which he doesn't, that would have put him down to 3. You're getting hit at least once against the final form. So that he would have been in the danger zone. I think he's safe here, but you never know. I think if you get hit by the heart, it actually might deal 3 damage. So if he accidentally ran into the heart or something crazy, but he just aces it. Sub 1030 again for Jimmy, a 1022, just crushing the game. And Rich is going to be eliminated here as we see him finishing up his run.
Still, great showing by Rich. I mean, he came into play, and even being sick, he still managed to beat out Andy. So, well, I lost my train of thought, but yeah, definitely big congrats to Rich.
Yes, he certainly played well. He played his heart out, overcame the illness to take the round 1 upset in the quarterfinals, but Jimmy is just too strong right now. So, I think either way, with even Andy, I don't know, he would have had to been getting close to PB to beat that. Andy's PB is 1019, even if he had made it to the semis. You basically have to get a PB to beat Jimmy at this point. That's kind of where things stand. So great job by both players. Jimmy advances to the finals.
Let's just think about this for a second. Jimmy's worst round so far in 4 matches is a 1035 in the race spot time. I mean, most of the matches we've seen, competitors haven't been under 1035, and they're the ones winning it. So Jimmy just looks incredibly strong right now. It's hard to bet against them at this moment.
I think you're right. And what's even more interesting is the next semifinal matchup that we're getting into here. Gardas 21 versus Jorf. These guys met in round 5 of the Swiss. And you want to know what happened? They had a tie. They had the only tie of the entire tournament. Both of them having very solid runs. They both got a 1039. So we are going to see some exciting matches from these two for sure. The run back is on.
Hey, it's a little bit personal now. They gotta find out now who was the true winner of that match, and they're gonna settle it right here.
That's right. So we have some formats for tie breaking that we're going to do this time. Last time we were because there were so many races going on, we didn't really have time to kind of go back and look at things, but because this is the top 8 and this is more serious, if we did have a tie in SRL RaceBot, we would go back and just review the footage to see if we could discern, if somebody won by a half a second or something like that, even if they both get a 1040, who got the lower 1040. And if we can discern that conclusively, if there's conclusive evidence to somebody winning, we would decide the game in their favor. If not, if it's inconclusive and we can't tell and we have to rule it as a tie, then the tiebreaker would actually be a race to the end of stage 3. That would be the tiebreaker. So certainly could happen. Ties are not something that happen very frequently, but it is possible.
Well, we proved in the Swiss round it can happen, so.
Absolutely. So I think, not sure if we're going to be moving on here. Infested Rich may want to do an interview. I'm not sure. He hasn't specified. I know he's not feeling well, so probably not, but I just wanted to make sure in case he wanted the chance before we moved on. But I haven't seen anything from anyone, so we're probably going to go ahead and move on to our next semifinal match, which is Gyarados 21, the number 2 seed, versus Jorf, who I believe was the number 3 seed. So we've got 2 versus 3, new versus old. Does Jorf's tournament experience give him the edge here, Darkman?
Normally I would say yes, and I think it kind of showed in his match versus White Hat, but Gyarados looks so strong in his match against Arceus. I don't know. Like, it's going to be tough. I feel like Gyarados kind of has the edge based on his quarterfinals performance.
Well, I think, that could be true, but I would say that Gyarados has also had the longest time off between matches. He won very quickly 2-0, and he's been waiting since his quarterfinal match ended. He knew that there was going to be a long break. We told all the players ahead of time, listen, plan your dinner break or lunch break or whatever, depending on what time zone you're in. He's in Italy, of course, so, maybe he had dinner, relaxed a little bit, watched some of the other matches. But you've got to wonder, is that something that can have an impact, or is, as his picture suggests, is he just, too cool to have anything get under his skin? Because, he's chilling there with his sunglasses. He looks like he's ready to win.
I mean, yeah, it could definitely be a factor, especially when you're like on a roll, 2 really good matches, and you're feeling confident, and all of a sudden, hey, I'll see you in an hour. That could definitely make a big difference. So it'd be interesting to see.
I think it could. Now, he has been at least watching the broadcast a little bit, because I do see him there in the chat. So I don't know if he's been keeping up with all of this, but he knows that he's up against Jorf, and he's got to realize that, hey, this is a very serious matchup. He's played him before. He had the tie with him before. So I think he's going to be bringing his A game yet again, and he has improved his personal best. Going into the tournament, his personal best was not a 10:21 as it is now. So he actually pulled ahead of Jorf. As we know, Jorf hasn't been playing Ninja Gaiden 2 as much. He kind of just pops up when the tournament is live, and it's like, okay, I'm here. I'll play. I'll beat people. So yeah, but I think these guys are going to be ready to go here in a couple minutes, and we're going to have number 2 versus number 3.
Yep. I mean, just look at the tail of tape between these guys. Like, everything is so close to each other. We're talking about PBs separated by 2 seconds. Their average race time in the Swiss was separated by 1 second. And they both have the same favorite stage. So, I mean, we're talking about a mirror match. That's kind of what we got right here.
Yeah, I think you're dead on. That's true. I think, Jorf just having a little bit more of the experience. But yeah, they both love themselves some 5-2. They both have some really, really strong times, and they both battled their way through some difficult quarterfinal matchups to get here. So I think they're ready. I think they're ready to go. And we can see some cutscene action happening here on Jorf's side. I like it. And that's the end of the cutscene. But we got to see the guy that helps Ryu out. For those of you who don't know the storyline of this, Ashtar is like the new bad guy after Ryu defeated Jackio, and he's challenging Ryu to come and get him. And then after you beat him, of course, it's revealed that the real villain is Jackio. He is still there, so you have to take him on. But you have a little bit of help from this special intelligence guy, Jungle Rat Rob, that comes along and kind of points you in the right direction here and there, and maybe takes a shot for you here and there. But
like in the lore background on Ninja Gaiden 2.
Yeah, I think it's like I don't remember which game came out first, but they kind of ripped off from what was it, Mega Man 4, where it's like Dr. Cossack. But then it's like, no, it was really Dr. Wily all along. So I'm not sure which one was first that did that, but they both kind of did that same, like, just kidding, it's still the actual you know, the final boss from before, because we can't come up with a new final boss.
Yeah, it takes a lot of time to come up with new bosses.
You're right. Especially when you have good ones too. I mean, like Dr. Wily, he's a classic. Like, why would you ever want to replace him? Although they did a good job, I think, when they went to the Mega Man X series, picking Sigma, that was a good choice. And it looks like we're off, so Fiesel is gonna get us synced up here in just a moment. But for right now, Gyarados is in the lead, hypothetically.
It's got an 8-second lead. It's huge.
Yes, massive 8-second lead. That will be corrected shortly. So yeah, Jorf, he's doing some of the more tricky strats. He's definitely going to be picking up that ninja clone in a faster way. Jorf actually made a really interesting comparison video that shows like several different ways to do the strategies in each stage, and it like shows them side by side, and you can actually see which ones are faster. It was really cool, and a lot of them are very close. Like they're only separated by frames, but something really cool that Jorf did. So he's coming up to the boss. So is Gyarados. Who's going to get the quick kill? Jorf's got it. The players have got it.
Excellent. I'm kind of curious how come Gyarados seems behind by like a second. I wonder if maybe he just started late, or is just something happened in 1-1?
I think they're not quite perfectly synced. It's probably like a half a second off, and then also Jorf does do that one strategy to get his first ninja clone a little bit faster, so that might be like another 20 frames.
Sure.
So, but yeah, I think it's just a very slim, and then it may have been like a better ladder grab or something, so it's just the movement can separate them just a little bit, as we see Jorf taking a hit, getting knocked back, and that is going to be just enough for Gyarados to catch up. He's probably even with Jorf.
So if you're gonna pick somebody, who's your pick, Sinister? I know this is a tough one to call.
This is a really tough one to call. I think Gyarados came to play today, man. I mean, Jorf, like, his lack of practice has to show up at some point, right? Like, he can't just come in here and just play like a god the entire time without having practice, can he?
I mean, I've seen it before, so you never know. And it is best of 3, so, if maybe he's just off on one game, he could still be on the other 2, and maybe that's enough.
That could be. So right now, both of them having a very good 2-2. Both looking like they have 2:10 on the timer there, so great job. And the boss fight going pretty smoothly for both of them. I think we're going to see not a lot of separation between these guys unless there's a death. They've both been ultra consistent and playing at a high level.
I don't expect deaths to really be the difference between the two. I think it's just going to be who's the one that can have the faster movement, the better gameplay.
That could be it. And I've actually been corrected by Andy Swee. He says that Jorf has been practicing. It just must have been at some odd times that I was not available to watch.
Okay.
So I stand corrected, but Jorf did take another hit, so Gyarados able to maybe, well, it looks like maybe Gyarados did too, because they're pretty much on the same pace. Almost a dead heat here. Screen for screen.
It's kind of, I guess, to be expected, Obviously, 2-2 can be a difference maker, but, as long as everything goes well, you expect them to kind of be even, these kind of competitors, even after 3-2.
Yeah, you would hope. Thankfully, we haven't seen a death in that screen of 3-2 yet. We've seen a lot of people struggle in this screen of 3-2, though, strangely. We've seen missed scrolls. We saw Jimmy miss the Art of the Fire Wheel at one point. So, again, we have another quick kill coming up on this next boss. This damage boost into quick kill can be a big decider, and Jorf falling down. Gyarados getting in, so Jorf in a bit of trouble here. He's going to have to get another damage boost. And he got down to 1 health, so he has to go the long way around so that he can pick up the health, and Gyarados now establishing a huge lead.
And Gyarados did get the quick kill, so...
And Jorf does get the quick kill, so he is keeping pace with that at least. But yeah, taking that extra damage can really hurt you later on, and that's a prime example of it, because you miss that damage boost or you fall down from that damage boost, you have to get back up, and it's tough to do. So not quite as costly as a death, but that's probably the most costly non-death mistake you could have. I mean, he really had to go all the way around the stage.
I mean, what do you think George's thinking now? I mean, sure, he didn't die, but I mean, against a competitor like Gyarados, that might be the difference maker. Do you think that kind of affects his mentality going in further?
I think for this game, maybe a little bit, but I think overall that, you know, Jorf is pretty calm. You know, he doesn't get too emotional about things. I don't think it's going to impact him too much. You know, he's recovering okay here as long as he gets through this stage, and you know, the next stage, then he should be okay. It's really about not letting things snowball, because that's what you tend to see for players. They end up getting themselves into trouble. You know, they have one mistake and then it just leads to another mistake and then another and another, but that hasn't happened for Jorf. So we can see both of these guys. Looks like Gyarados is going to use the Art of the Fire Wheel here instead of Invincible Fire Wheel, and he does get it. Wow. Okay, so he wants that half a second. I'm not sure that he did that in his match against Arceus. That's a strategy change.
He did not, as far as I remember, so maybe it's just like he feels like now it's the semis, he's going against a very strong competitor in Jorf. He doesn't think he can afford to take the safeties anymore.
Yeah, I think you're right. Jorf did, meanwhile, take the Invincible Fire Wheel, taking the safer path and losing half a second, as opposed to using the Upfire.
Oh,
so, but
we missed the death. That's what happened.
We did, okay.
Yeah.
I actually had to refresh my stream. My stream kind of went bonkers there.
I had to too, so that must have been why we missed the death.
That makes sense, but both of these guys are still very close. So whatever we missed, it didn't have too much of an impact. When I refreshed, they were very close, and now they are still both in 5-2 from what I can tell. So both players in their favorite stage, in their element, sliding along, heading towards Ashtar. Can either one get the quick kill? Really nice ladder grab there by Gyarados. Let's see if Jorf goes for a crazy ladder grab. Nope.
That was insane. That's the best ladder grab I've seen in 5-2 so far.
Yes, that was pretty clutch. You missed that ladder grab, you take the death play like Jorf did earlier. It's not super costly. So Gyarados into the boss room. Jorf right behind him by about 4 or 5 seconds. No quick kill there. And Jorf does not manage the quick kill. Looks like he was going for it though. So maybe Jorf is going to be able to pull that out at some point. I think maybe he's secretly been getting it, or with, you know, Endy watching, he's been getting it. So on into Act 6, still anybody's race.
It's like Endy said, Jorf has been practicing, and you know what? Jorf is a competitor. He plays these tournaments because he wants to win them. So you know what? It does not surprise me at all that he's trying to go for the quick kill.
Well, but you got to respect that Gyarados is going all out here too. I mean, he is not pulling any punches. He's going for the crazy strats. I mean, who knows? It's possible that he could PB in one of these runs, like if he keeps playing with these strats and he just has a really good run, because I think when he stopped at 10:21, like he was kind of like, okay, I'm done for a little bit now. But he's got the potential to do better.
Yeah. Gyarados going into the boss with 1 health, so...
Both of them with 1 health. Danger zone. Ooh, Jorf.
Ooh.
Doing a little dance there. That was dangerous. But he's through.
Alright. Just a second or two separating these guys. This is intense.
Yeah. Could we have another tie on our hands?
It'd be fitting. If it's gonna be any two, it's gonna be these two.
Right. This is what happened last time. I mean, jeez, you know. And they both had a good run too. And even though with the death, you know, these guys are not on a bad pace at all. So whatever happened couldn't have been too bad.
Definitely not.
And Jorf with a bit of a misstep on the second bird boost. He is falling behind. Gyarados is into 7-2. Health situation not exactly where he wants it, but I think it should be decent.
he had a little bit of a slow ladder climb with the flame section, but still not as bad as Jorf, so...
Right. So Gyarados is going to have to take at least one additional hit. He can't afford any unintentional damage on this screen here before he gets to the health drop. And he looks okay. And he does snag the health.
Okay.
Jorf not too far behind him. This one's not over yet, but Gyarados does have a pretty strong lead. Almost a full screen ahead as he is pushing towards the final boss rush, getting another health. Jorf may skip the health here, I wouldn't be surprised. And he does. So Gyarados with a decent kill, maintaining his lead. Small misstep from Gyarados. Jorf also making a mistake. Jorf really struggling now. Wow, the hitbox on that nose is really, really tiny. So Jorf struggled to get that last hit in, and I think Gyarados is going to end up taking this one down. He's got plenty of health, and he does. He does finish it off. So great job by Gyarados. 21 as Jorf finishes as well. Gyarados getting around low 1040s time. Jorf not too far behind, but wow. What a first game, huh, Dark Man?
Oh, that was impressive. Just, what, 8 seconds separating the two? And shout out to Gyarados, because according to chat, he had a death, and he still managed to win, so...
Still managed to pull it out. Well, it looked like they both may have had a death, possibly. I'm not sure, but either way, yeah, I think it was great. And you can see Jorf is already practicing the damage boost where he fell down, I think. Like, he's already like, I am not making that mistake again.
That was the difference maker, really. That's what it came down to.
It did, yeah. He had to run all the way around that screen because he had to pick up, there's a backup health on the other side, and he had to get it because you're usually at pretty low health by the time you get to that point.